Hey, yo, what up? I'm eating oranges. This is my lunch and breakfast. But it's thankfully a pretty quiet food, so got that going for me. So I have prepared a document for today. A lovely little outline of notes of stuff that we gotta touch on, because a lot went into making this. Let me make sure when I show the Blender scene, it looks like how it looks on stream. Okay. Now, the Blender capture. I do. Okay. Cool. Cool. Let me see. Is there anything else I need to have captured? I think that's about it. I just need like a capture for Blender for this. Because I have screenshots. I have some screenshots to show off throughout this stream, as well as I can just show you the OBS scenes and talk about them, because they're still all here. Now, I'm just like waiting for some people to file in, and also hi, Will Byron and Mego Man. We're gonna get into it. Oh, by the way, we are on a time limit today, because I am hosting a watch party for some friends later. So, part of the reason why this stream is particularly early is because I'm going to be busy later. I didn't want to, like, wait till tomorrow, because I already intended to do this Saturday, and I didn't want a repeat of the stream itself where I just keep fucking delaying this shit. So, here we are. Okay. It's also possible that something in the household will interrupt me. I don't know. It's a Monday, and I haven't, like, talked to my mom yet. So, who the fuck knows? We're kind of just gonna fucking fly by the seat of our pants, and we're just gonna do it. Okay. Now, chat. I have, like 9 1/3 pages of notes in a Google Doc that I was writing this doc over the past couple days, and trying to sort of compile and structure a lot of the thoughts about how stuff went into this. So some of it, a little bit of it is like chronologically structured, and then a lot of it is just structured based on like what part of the project I was working on. So I guess one thing right off the top, the logo on screen right now is the placeholder I made before I got the logo we used in the final version, which Chili made. Chili made logo. Chili also made Chili. And I think that's that. Anyway, I'm distracted by my oranges. One of them's kind of green. I don't know if it's going to be any good. There's an orange that's got a little bit of green on it. Is that a good orange? Are there any, like, orange knowers in chat? Citrus heads? Any citrus heads? Anybody? Yeah, this looks fine. I just see a fruit and it's like a weird color and I go, But I'm like a dumbass, so. Oh, yummy orange. That's another thing, because this is so early, I was like, holy fuck, I need to eat now. Because I'm not gonna have any fucking time to do anything later. So there's that. Let me see. I don't think I have too many, like, really early concepts to show off. Just like a couple things, because the visual identity of the project didn't really change too much, at least as far as like the Blender stuff is concerned. So at least for that, a lot of the early screenshots of this scene you're seeing, this is one of the early screenshots. This is when I was putting the crowd objects together, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, there's not too much like concept stuff, but I guess we'll just get into it. Let's just like run down my notes here. Damn, you got that fucking, you want them painkillers for that shit? Oof. Well, good luck, Wolviron. I fucking hate pain. So, this music is way too calm. That's way too calm. I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to listen to that. That's too calm. Alright, good enough. So, the Backyard Brawl, also known as Tournament 3, also known as Viewer Submitted Character Tournament number 2, also known as the latest episode in the Betsy Bunsick plotline, is a stream where I asked you, the audience, to send me drawings to invent characters who could participate in a tournament where viewers like you vote on who should win every individual match. Like I just said, this is the second one of these we've done, which means I had the opportunity to iterate on a lot of stuff here. So this wasn't going to initially be the next Betsy stream. I guess it kind of was anyway, but there is another Betsy plotline related stream that still hasn't happened yet, and it was originally supposed to happen before this, but now that's kind of been pushed back. It's kind of high concept. It's a project I've been working on for a while, and I'm not going to talk too much about, but it's not ready yet. It's not even ready to be in full production yet, because it's still very, like, bleh. But, like I said, regardless, I always intended to do more of these tournaments, so I don't know. When I say, it's hard to pin down exactly when work on the Backyard Brawl started properly. I could probably afford to make myself larger. It's hard to tell when exactly that work started. My best measure for that is the Blender project files and some of the why is my ass full of frame and some of the Blender project files and some of the image references I was using have dates on them, so I know it is work in earnest on the Backyard Brawl started shortly after Maisie's April Fool's Day stream had been made and finished. And that one feels like it's kind of part of the story because it's the Maisie stream was something I had planned with Rosie months in advance, and we had a redesign for that Sona of ours and all this stuff going on. But all things considered, the whole Maisie project is way smaller because it's just like one 3D thing and then some like OBS overlays and then some art from Rosie. But that was like my long-term kind of thing for a little bit. And then, well, mostly because like I always wanted to do something for April 1st, but to do something high effort, you have to plan in advance like a lot. And I wanted to like introduce Maisie to the stream and have her be present and be able to like do Maisie streams, which is like a very particular thing. I guess I should just like skip to this point immediately, especially because we're talking about Maisie. But I don't talk about this too often on stream, but it has come up, and I have to outright say to this. If you're a long time consistent viewer of Bunny Bunsig streams, you're probably aware that me and a lot of people in my orbit are plural, and multiple animals and all that. And Betsy, Maisie, Bunny are headmates, but because of how performing on stream works, like, the version of me you get is not the version of me that actually exists. It is a performance I'm putting on, consciously or otherwise, and the same applies for, like, Betsy and Maisie, where they don't exactly represent themselves in reality, and because they are stream performances, they can be performed by any type of animal I may have, you know? Let me actually grab the Betsy stuff, because so a big part of the Backyard Brawl was continuing Betsy's storyline, and for me, like, creatively, personally, after, like the Hell stream represents a lot for me. Very directly, it relates to some of the stuff Barry was going through at the time, because it was, the Hell stream was the cap on a week-long fundraiser for Barry, because it had to move out of a bad living situation on relatively sudden notice. And ironically, a little while after that Hell stream happened, the exact same situation happened for me, where my bad living situation that I had been living in for years finally hit a tipping point where I had, like, several days to leave. And unfortunately, because of those circumstances, I couldn't, like, do a fundraising stream about it, so I just had to pass the hat around and have my friends help promote a donation link for me. And genuinely, that money, like, is still keeping me out of the red. Like, and I'm so fucking appreciative of all the support I got. And to me, that, like, real life parallel to the stream fiction of Betsy being trapped in hell, breaking out of hell, like, through the help of anonymous strangers online. That's literally the canon of the Hell stream in our eyes. That's the word of God, at least, is that through the help of strangers online, Betsy was able to escape hell and find a better life and a better place to live, and, like, be present with people who care about her, etc., etc. And there is, like, I have, like, an outline, and this is not something I'll probably ever publish because it's very, like, personal, but there is an outline of, like, Betsy's story leading up to the Backyard Brawl, and this is a lot of stuff that isn't present on stream directly, and it's inconvenient and improbable to, like, work a lot of these kind of narrative details into the sort of streams that I'm doing, because we're not making short films, we're making funny audience interactive live events, right? So a lot of plotline stuff has to be context and, like, continuity related, right? And I think we worked pretty well with that. Like, Betsy's been gone for a while, Betsy's living a new life, she comes back, and she's, like, completely fucking different. Speaking of which, I was pulling up her concept art. We have concept art. Let me take a look if I can show any of this. Some of this fucking art I definitely can't show. First things first, I will show Betsy's original design. So, this design, here's Betsy. This is the design from the original Barnyard saga of the stream from a couple years ago that led to that first tournament. This art was done by a friend of ours who, through various circumstances, we don't talk to anymore, but don't worry too much about it. In case you're wondering why we haven't gotten much art from them since then. And this design is great, and we love it. And we kind of wanted to... There was a lot that Betsy needed. And I think one of the big things very clearly was Betsy was going to be bigger. She was going to get very large after her time spent in hell. We actually laid seeds for this idea in the hell stream, where we talked about like $- and negative food. Yo, Mac, we talked about $- and negative food. That's all the kind of stuff that's in hell. Is money that makes you poorer and food that makes you hungrier. And sort of this also kind of ties into like some thematic stuff about like living in abusive situations and blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, I'm not going to talk about any specifics about living in these bad abusive environments, so don't worry about that, but it's the background for the themes of our characters. So I was like, okay, what happens after Betsy escapes hell? First things first, she quadruples in weight. She gets really fucking fat. That was like always going to be the design intent. I'm gonna skim. So Rosie, my partner Rosie, is who I went to for, let me see here, is who I went to for Betsy. Rosie did all of the Betsy art for this stream, the talk sprite, the announcement image. The only thing she didn't make was the Peter Griffin, like, death pose art. I made that. For the stream delay announcement, I made that. If you couldn't tell. Let's see. Okay, so I'm not gonna show the design docs, but I can show you the prototype. Yeah, I can. Because the prototype design is actually pretty good, but we just did not end up going with it. Here it is. Here's the initial design draft that Rosie gave me, was this design, which is pretty good. You can already see the final Betsy design. A lot of those elements are immediately present here, because the revisions were not actually that extreme. Ooh, orange juice spilled out of my orange. We don't have a colored version of this, but... And then here's, like, canon Betsy. Here's how she ended up looking. On the right here. Can you tell my notes were make her bigger? My notes were make her bigger. And that's about it. Like, that's, like, literally about it. So, actually, let me just keep this on screen. Make sure I'm not, like, leaving a bunch of shit in the background. And then that led, of course, to getting her final design in the key art, which is right here. Look, there she is pointing at herself. And then, of course, the PNG tuber. Hell yeah. You've seen plenty of that. I don't have to show you more of it. Betsy, you can sit... There you go. Point at whatever we're looking at for me. Make sure you're below Twitch chat. There you go. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I love Rosie, my partner Rosie. She does great work. You should commission her for art. I'm not fucking kidding. Hold on. She wasn't, unlike Chili, who got to co-host, Rosie was not present for the stream itself, but oh my god, what the fuck is her Twitch handle? I can never remember now. Let me grab it really quick. There it is. Shoutouts to Rosie. Go follow Rosie if you haven't already. A lot of you here probably are. I know a lot of you know me through Rosie's like streams. Alright, so that's Betsy's redesign in a nutshell, pretty much. I don't think there's anything else we really got to touch on there. I mean, obviously, a big thing, the elephant in the room about Betsy's design is that we had her move away from being like a barnyard cartoon cow, and we're like, all right, huge tits. Udder is now optional, but she's got huge boobs. Big fucking boobs. Big boobs, big tummy, big thighs, big arms. Big lady, big lady. So that's Betsy. That's Betsy. And then from there, she's locked the fuck in. Betsy is Betsy. She will be streaming more. We're gonna be reusing her room for more streams. In fact, we might even be expanding on it, honestly. Betsy might become like the PS2 game, the PS2 GameCube game girly for the stream. We'll see. I wanna have Betsy and Maisie host more streams. I just need to find out what the sort of types of games they play are. That's the only thing. The retro bitch, a little bit. That said, I'm not gonna let Betsy play Bubsy or anything. Okay, no, she's still hiding chat. I'm not gonna let her play Bubsy or anything. That's mine. Betsy's not allowed to play that. That's for me. But like other stuff, yeah. Like I'll play the pervert shit, and Betsy will play like the normal video games. As far as like retro stuff goes. Okay, well that's enough about Betsy. And I already talked about how the plan for another tournament was already going to be a thing. So how did we land on the backyard wrestling theme? Again, this is something that kind of just worked. It was, so backyard wrestling, I'm not sure how many people are like aware of this like subculture. But it is like more of a rural to suburb, like Southern America kind of thing, Southern United States kind of thing, I guess. Where people love WWE, and some people love WWE so much that they do like actual wrestling leagues in their backyards, and like people turn out for them, and it's a whole thing. I think the concept of backyard wrestling is something I've always generally been aware of. It's not like that crazy. It's not like a secret obscure bit of American subculture or anything, but I have some distinct memories of, well, one, there's a fucking Juggalo backyard wrestling game, which I probably should have played for the like marathon leading up to the stream, but that all fell apart anyway. Years ago, I was on one of those websites that randomly gives you 0-view YouTube videos. And I think this was like while I was in college. I would sit like in like my dorm room or something, hooked up to a TV, and some folks would just hang out and we would just like watch random YouTube videos that had 0 views. By the way, great hobby to have. Same thing for Twitch streams. 0-view anything is a minefield. It's very interesting. Little samey, especially on Twitch, but you get some winners if you gamble long enough. So, ooh, this orange is a little tart, a little sour. Ew. Very mixed batch. So there was a few things. The backyard wrestling is a super fucking low stakes, like just a bunch of people having fun with a structure and like putting on a cool show and getting horribly injured because no one involved is a professional. So that was a big that's a big appeal of the backyard wrestling theme. Is it's very scrappy, it's low stakes, it's not as like high concept as like Demons are, like with the last one. It can pretty much just be like the types of wrestlers there can be kind of anybody, leaning towards like low budget homemade type of stuff. And we got some of that with some of the submissions, which I appreciated. And let me see here. And of course, it made sense for Betsy to have this motivation. Not this motivation. It makes sense contextually, thematically, narratively, for Betsy to go from like sacrificial Thanksgiving ritual to tournament to determine the champion of hell who will conquer Earth to low stakes backyard wrestling public access TV gig that has no actual real world consequence whatsoever, right? It feeds back into Betsy's character of she's been through fucking hell and she's past it. She is living the happily ever after. This is good ending Betsy, and she's now having fun doing NC stuff on her own terms. She's her own boss now. She is not working for some mysterious higher up or anything like that, right? And I just missed a phone call. Spam risk, never mind. Yeah, it just kind of made sense. Though the public access TV thing doesn't come up until a little bit later in the recounting of this behind the scenes stuff, because that was a late addition to the creative process. Let me see here. Also, a big thing was the original plan, the original intent, before all the delays happened, was for the backyard wrestling tournament to happen on the 4th of July, American Independence Day, like the America holiday. You know, summertime, backyard cookouts, block parties, that kind of thing. That's why, like, we have a kiddie pool with a hose, and there's a grill, and there's like there's a picnic table out, and all that stuff. It's a big 4th of July party. And it just so happens that the centerpiece of the 4th of July party in this trailer park is a backyard wrestling tournament. Yeah, the stream got delayed by like fucking 5 months. You see, okay, I have my Betsy notes, which I've already talked about. And then concepting, so we did look up a lot of images of trailer parks, as you would expect me to when I'm making something like this. And it was honestly pretty straightforward. The idea was very like fully formed. It was just a matter of what the fuck does a trailer park look like? How do I structure this in a way that looks nice? And I think we mostly managed to figure that out. I think we're ready to look at Blender, because we're going to start talking about the backyard itself. So, hold up. Is that this? No. Oh wait, no, I need to hide everything else first, dumbass. Hide this. Yeah, there it is. Alright, here's Blender. Here's Blender. I gotta be careful, because there's spoilers in here now. So if I click one of the buttons up here, something bad might happen. But here's Blender. Here is the backyard brawl scene in its entirety. This is everything. We have a couple sub-scenes here for like some other stuff we're gonna talk about in a bit. But yeah, here it is. We have the crowd. We have a swing set. And then there's this guy we're going to talk about in a little bit, because the whole bit of this monkey got lost in the actual stream itself because I'm a dumbass. Okay, let me check my notes. So yeah, Chili made the logo, obviously, as I've been saying, and the crowd characters. So you've seen, if you've been watching my streams for a while, which is to say, if you've seen the Hell Tournament, you've seen me do this before. So these characters are procedurally arranged. I did not place these individually. These guys are one object. Yeah, the monkey's a camera POV. These guys are all a single object, and they all animate individually. You'll notice that the same type of character animates the same way. Like, look at the horses here. They all rotate in the exact same way. Although their rotations are desynced because they have some random transforms on them. They have different starting positions, essentially. So the way this whole fucking thing works... I'm just going to disable this. I'm going to disable everything. And I am going to... This is the end credits music. Something else.
Good job on the promotion.
Yeah, good job on the promotion. So if I go here, you'll see a horrible amalgamation of every single character at 0-0. And these guys are all in their own dedicated collection up here in Blender. Here is every single individual character. So some of these characters are OCs that were submitted directly to me by some friends and friends of friends. I know, like, this character and this character, which, by the way, this, like, Neopets OC is almost not visible on the final stream at all. This is the rare crowd character that I think is visible in one shot, and they're, like, eaten up by the filter effects. Sorry about that. But they were all randomly placed, so... Yeah, like, these characters are from Chili's friends. They're credited in the credits. And then, like, this and this, these are my friend Alita's, Sona's, and this is Kiryu from Yakuza 0 specifically, I think. And then just, like, some other stuff. Dende is here. He's kind of a reference to the Dragon Ball themes of the previous streams. As is, like, Piccolo's in this scene somewhere, too. Also, Barry's cameo is not part of the crowd, obviously. There's only one Barry. It's just its own individual object. So the way this works, I had this scene of characters, and, like, here's the adoring fan. Here's his animations I made for him. I animated him by hand, by the way. That's my live, real-time mouse movements shaking him around. I appreciate how that came out. I had to come up with new ways to animate each of these characters so that they didn't have, like, duplicate animations, and it was kind of hard. But I figured it out. I made it something, I guess. So yeah, I asked friends for OCs. Some of them gave OCs. Some of them just gave me random, like, characters, like Solaire from, like, my friend David, and then Neopet and Care Bear is from Chili's friends, that kind of thing. Some of it's stuff I've used before. Duke the dog is here, of course. Adam Lion is here. The horse is here. The Club Penguin, Green Penguin is here. Big Snazzy's here. Those are some of my specific additions. So these are all individually animated, and then what I do is I make images. I make some planes. So here's one of the crowds. And if I go into their modifiers, you'll see I have a geometry node modifier, and I can hide this, and it turns into just some polygons, right? Or I guess it's an n-gon, but XX. So it's just this polygon, and what I'm doing here is check out this shit that makes you die inside. Here's how this works. So this is for this object over here, right here, which I'm currently hiding the effects. So normally this just looks like this, but because of all of this shit at the bottom, that, like, slab of white nothing turns into these characters, because I'm Let me see here. Here is the plane, and I'm making the plane into points, which then each point grabs a random character from my collection of characters in the middle of the map at the 0, 0 point right over here, and it randomly picks one of the characters, and I have it set to have a minimum distance of 1 meter, so every character is 1 meter apart minimum. That makes it so they don't clip together as much. And that's about it. I then have some random values set up for their rotation, specifically their Z rotation, so they're facing in different directions. This way they're not all facing like north-south. They face at like random degrees. So they have like 0 to 90 degrees of random transform. And yeah, it's random. I could change the seed, which is going to change how every single crowd looks. I can re-randomize it. But we're setting it to 0. We're using seed 0. So if I was dissatisfied with how the crowds actually looked, I could change the random seed, or I could adjust the like polygon. Because if I were to grab this and transform it, you'll see the characters change. Because it's dynamically distributing it based on the shape of the object. Very cool trick I learned. Really happy with it. Works really nice for this exact task. You can also use this to like distribute like flowers and foliage and stuff over an environment. I've done that before. Very nice. So that's how that works. So all I had to do was animate every single individual character once. And after I did that, bada bing, bada boom, all this life has entered into the environment. Ain't that cool? Okay, what do we got next? Oh yeah, so the monkey. So Rosie drew this monkey here. Rosie drew monkey. Originally, also Ben's back there. So originally this monkey was going to be Blockhead's cameo for the stream, because I like to hide Blockhead in projects either as a main character or just as an environmental detail, kind of like Ben is back here. And I have a bunch of different camera angles. Let's just like, oh hi Betsy. Actually no wait, this is the promo image. Let me. So I have like a bunch of different camera angles. Why is this revealed? Interesting how that happened. Where are you from? Oh, it's set not to render, but it got unhidden. That's some placeholder stuff that I should have sectioned off elsewhere. So one of the things I wanted to do was make every single camera like a physical entity, like a physical object in the world that you could see. Because I really like the idea that the environment I'm showing, like, exists, like, functionally. Like, it's a real place with real cameras. We're actually making this. The audience is not an invisible, like, camera from God looking at stuff. These are cameras that were set up on tripods. In fact, I have a little... There's a scene in here somewhere. I have a couple objects I made. One of them, of course, is the camera tripod right here. Scene. Not named, just scene. So that led to... It's not gonna, it doesn't matter, but it's bothering me. So one of those camera angles ended up being like hot. So I wanted some of the camera angles to be high up. So naturally I stuck cameras on the roofs. Let's see. There's one over here too. And you can see these tripods from other angles. But one of them, in fact, literally from this angle, you can see the swing set. Stop clicking on things. You can see the swing set over here, which is where I have one of my, I have a reverse shot here of the swing set. And the joke is that to get this shot, because we couldn't fit a tripod up here, we had to have someone sit on top of the swing set with a camera Click on the monkey. I'm on the back side of the monkey, so I can't click on him. So, therefore, monkey. Once Blockhead's cameo turned into the station logo, I realized I needed another character here. So I just asked Rosie to draw me somebody holding a camera while on top of this. And she did exactly that. I didn't tell her to make it a monkey or anything. The problem is, on the actual stream itself, the health bar, the goddamn health bar for the Brawl itself, and I can fucking show you this. Let me see. Here. Here. Sorry, the music cut out. Here. Yeah, this angle. If you go to the main here. Hi, what's up? I'm below the floor. Here's the camera. I'll talk about how this works in a bit, but you'll see as it cycles, the health bar completely covers up the monkey. Cycle. Cycle. Come on, convolution device. You got it. Cycle. Cycle. Well, anyway, the monkey is visible, but the fact that he's holding a camera is completely obscured. And that kind of like ruined the bit. And I literally did not realize until the stream was already happening that that was a problem. So, my bad. Okay, oh gosh, so Last Orange is so fucking sour. Oh yeah, cameo. So we got Piccolo from previous tournament streams. Piccolo's here, and he's grilling. He's making some hamburgers and some curved cylinders. I think those are hot dogs or sausages. You got that shit on the grill. I did not need to put this much detail into this grill I made, but I sure fucking did. Then we have over here, here's Snotty Boy from the first tournament. Spoilers for the first tournament. This is what happens to Snotty Boy at the end. And by God, that's gonna be an element of continuity here. So fucking help me. And we have two assets I did not make. So I used a website called Polyhaven. I used a website called Polyhaven to grab a couple assets I needed for this stream. One of them is the ground. Another is this park bench, this boombox, the texture for the ground, the texture for the road. What else here? There was originally going to be a garden gnome. I did download a garden gnome, and it was in the scene at some point. But I think while I was getting the composition down, I kind of decided, no, I don't want the garden gnome to be there. And also, I would have put it next to one of the trailer's doors, but I never made a door model. It's just a fucking rectangle. So if I can avoid drawing attention to the fact that this is just a fucking rectangle, that'd be good. Because, like, dude, it's a rectangle. It's not a door. Same thing with the windows. I never got around to, like, adding detail to them. It's just kind of something that fell between the cushions. And then the last asset is this fence. This fence is from Polyhaven. All Creative Commons 0. They don't require attribution specifically, but I'm giving it regardless because I didn't make these and I feel like I should talk about everything that went into this. Polyhaven's also where I got the lighting. OBS isn't gonna like that I'm doing this. OBS might really fucking hate that I'm doing this. In fact, let's not do it. Never mind. Let me go into shading. Okay, can I change this to show you the HDRI? Okay, well, the background, the sky texture, which I guess I can just show you the actual fucking stream itself. But the sky texture up there, that is that's a panoramic image that I'm also using as the light source. So it's where the sun's coming from, and, you know, where the color of the sunlight's coming from. And that is from Polyhaven. For the most part, the sky you see in the background is just the sky, but there's a couple angles. I think this angle specifically, I had to render this transparent, and then I superimposed a version of, like, a different part of the skybox that had, like, a tree line or something. Or maybe it was this one. I made it so that the sky was specifically visible. One of the camera angles does not use the actual angle of the skybox, which I'm not going to visualize because OBS is going to fucking crash. Actually, wait a minute. I could probably just do that. Oh, yeah, there it is. That works. Okay. Yeah, here's a skybox. We can literally check which one's not correct. I think it's this one. Because the trees are too fucking big and far away in this angle, so I think I changed this one. Yeah, that one's the same. Yeah. Yeah, these ones are the same. Here's a non-diegetic shot I didn't use. Okay. Set that back to cycles. Not that I'm going to use that. So, let's hop back to my document. Take a look at my notes. So, the stuff I did make. I already touched on the tripod, and there's a swing set. I knew I just wanted a swing set. So the trailer park needed to convincingly exist as, like, a not too dense. Like, honestly, these trailer homes they got a lot of space between them, like, realistically speaking. Especially here, because there's a missing trailer. I kind of just, like, removed a trailer from the pattern I was making. And I was like, all right, this is, like, a park used by residents of the trailer park. This is, like, an area with a swing set. It's got a picnic table. Like, people throw block parties in this, like, vacant lot inside of the Paradise Trailer Park, as we've come to call it. Thus, I needed to build a swing set, and I figured I might as well make it myself. So I did. Same thing with the wrestling ring. I made this. It's a really simple construction. It's just cube, cylinder, 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 cube, but beveled with cylinder attached for, like, the little bumpers for the ropes. Very nice, very straightforward. And then just slap Chili's logo on there. No big deal. Crowd blobs I talked about, the camera tripods, the trailers. The trailers are pretty straightforward. I just looked at a bunch of reference images and I was like, all right, let me just, like, build a house really quick. I'm using, like, a weird fucking shader thing to make this, like, striped effect happen, because it's supposed to look like siding, like the siding of a building. And it kind of looks like that, but this like, striped pattern effect I use is really bad, and I shouldn't be using it. Also, this side's fucking flat. Don't look at it. Yeah, the trailers are kind of underwhelming. I'm not, like, super satisfied with them, but they look pretty okay. Like they serve their purpose. They make the space feel convincing enough, and that's kind of the point. You see, there's also the host camera. So there's a bunch of stuff over here. Let's pull up. So here's where you see Betsy and Chili. This is just right here. And I made this folding table, which honestly, the folding table looks really fucking good. I'm like, I mean, the folding table is an easy object to build. It's a very simple object. Everyone knows what a fucking folding table looks like, especially this plastic kind. And it's just an easy thing to make look real. So I appreciate that. Then Chili, I think Chili's pool to the left here became a thing. I think Chili's idea was to be wearing a bathing suit, specifically a cow print themed bathing suit. And I was like, okay, well, That makes sense for like a 4th of July party, but there's got to be water. There's got to be water. So there's going to be a kiddie pool, and there's just Chili's just going to be sitting in a kiddie pool. That idea came together really nicely. And then I added like a hose, which you don't get to see a lot of, but there is just a hose here with like a nozzle on the end and everything. And a little very simple faucet. Also, wow, look at the texture fabric normal map I applied to the fucking banner. The banner, this is just a simple cloth physics thing. I just enabled cloth physics on this mesh, and I pinned these parts, and then I just snapshotted its resting position, and I added that. Oop, there's a tree. I added that to the mesh. The cooler is very fucking simple looking. I actually don't remember making it, but I did make it. I don't know why the texture here looks the way it does. Oh, because I added a noise texture to it. Fucking, that's why. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I made it look vaguely like ice, which I guess it does. And then I just put some cylinders in it. I didn't bother making them look like drink cans or bottles or anything. We just kind of were like, all right, fuck it. Good enough. Good enough. It's gonna be visible on screen for almost the entire stream, but it's good enough. Alright. Let me see. I think that's everything for the exterior. Obviously, I made these trees. I made these trees. They're made out of cones. This is a baby drawing a tree for the first time, is how I've made these. They look kind of shit, but they work. And then these trees here, these exist to block line of sight with the void. So that's why there's these walls of trees in these 3 specific locations. Because these 3 specific spots are where the cameras can see beyond all of the objects in the scene and directly into the skybox, which would break the illusion of the space that I was creating. So that is why. Okay, well, not that one. That is why there's like trees here, and why there's trees here, because it was visible. And that's about that. Also, these are the same tree. This is the same tree texture I made, based off of like a random stock photo that I fucked up a lot, and I crunched the hell out of it. These are the same trees that are in the gas station Life is a Work in Progress scene I made that we were using as a background for a while. And I think it might be my offline screen right now. I don't remember what my offline screen is. It might just be monkeys. It might be Blender Suzanne. But I color shifted those trees to be like brownish red because it was supposed to be a fall scene, and this is like actually the color. They're green. They're evergreens, actually, all of them. It's very funny that I use these as like my autumn colors in that other scene. It's like kind of stupid. But let's hop over to Betsy's house. So here's Betsy's trailer. In case you aren't aware, because I didn't really like talk about this too much, I think Betsy on stream mentions it. The trailer whose backyard we're in is this red one right here. You can see there's the front door. We're in this one's backyard. This is Betsy's house. This trailer home is Betsy's, the red one. But she's got the banner pinned to it, and she's using the water and everything. So, you'll notice there's a blue trailer over there. So when we hop onto the interior, hey, look at that. There's the blue trailer that's outside. And here we are. Inside Betsy's house. Which is just a fucking box. Here it is. Very, very simple kind of setup. I just built one of my shitty little computer models I tend to build. I have the modified Barnyard player character model over here, which looks fucked up in this render mode. because of the way exporting stuff as an OBJ works, I think. Something like that. But yeah, here she is. She's here as like a little figurine, a little cameo in the scene. And everything here is pretty straightforward. I was kind of going for like... It's got some like teenager's bedroom vibe. And there's a screenshot of Vintage Story on the TV because I was playing a lot of Vintage Story at the time. During the production of this stream, I was exclusively playing Vintage Story. This was my Vintage Story era, which I'm not currently in my Vintage Story era anymore. I might return to it at some point, but I played so fucking much. As did Betsy. And then we just have a bunch of games back here. Do you know it's really hard to find a clean scan of this specific Jak and Daxter poster? I have this Jak and Daxter poster, and I don't even have a good scan of it. I think this thing's like watermarked. Or like, this is like a really low resolution thumbnail, but it's kind of hard to tell. And then just like some other stuff. My Street, important to the lore, and we ended up playing it. Jak X Combat Racing, another game I was playing a lot of at the time of this project. I was doing the Jak X retro achievement set. And then just some other stuff. Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts is you can tell the PlayStation 2, like, early 2000s kind of era we're going for here, with just, like, the posters I put on the wall. And, of course, Milk Me. Restricted. Very, very simple screen. Very simple setup. Don't look at the computer. It's just cubes. And... yeah, I made everything in this scene. None of the objects here, except for this. Jak X is very good. Jak X is very fucking good. Like, it's so good. It's kind of fucking crazy how good it is. Like, I'm gonna start playing F-Zero GX soon for the first time, and I'm going to be very curious how Jak X compares to F-Zero GX, because they both have a similar, at least from what I've seen, like, seat of your pants, like, I am piloting a rocket that's about to be out of control any second now if I lose, like, focus for even a second. Like that kind of shit, right? I love that kind of shit. Jak X is also hard as fuck. New Game Plus of Jak X is, like, absurd. It's, like, so fucking hard. For, like, I don't even know why. They just made it so fucking hard. So I haven't finished that retro achievement set yet. And then here is, here's Betsy's chair. So she is, like, too fucking big to use most furniture. In fact, even this bed here is, like, way too small for her. Because Betsy is, like, 8 feet tall. She's fucking huge. So this trailer park home is way too small for her. Which is why her chair is just a big, like, dog bed. This is basically a dog bed that she uses, because she has to sit on the floor because she's too big. This is also the first appearance of the BHPA TV mug. I made it for this scene because I was like, Betsy, we weren't going to reveal the TV station until the stream itself, but I wanted to have it foreshadowed a bit, so it's cameoing here. Betsy works for BHPA TV and therefore has a mug, which I think only has one side, but don't worry about that. The actual mug you can buy on Redbubble has 2 sides to it. Got an image on the other side too. And then yeah, there's not a lot of, like, detail going on here because it just needed to be this shot and, like, nothing else. So that's what it became. You know, this shot right here. Here's the final product. Here's what it looks like. Ain't that something? That's that. We're definitely going to be using this scene more, though I might want to future-proof this, copy it to different projects, change some stuff about it, maybe change the image on this TV, add some way of like, making a game overlay out of this, because this was made to be used, like, 3 times and then never again. But I really like it, and I feel like we could like get a lot more work out of it, pretty much. Because it's where Betsy lives. Like, whenever Betsy streams, she's going to be streaming from here. Much like how Maisie has her own home she lives in that she streams from. A bedroom, essentially. I'm building their bedrooms, not their entire houses. But yeah, we intended to obviously we intended to do way more streams with this background than we ended up doing, but because of the delays, streams had to go on hiatus for a while, and unfortunately our big plan of doing a week of streams leading up to the Backyard Brawl now never happened. We did 2 of those streams. One of them was a complete fuck-up disaster because we got pulled away by our mom to go off on a fucking task, so we had to call Barry and tell it to hop in VC, because I made sure to hop into VC first before I left, and then I was like texting Barry like, hey, can you hop in VC and just like talk to my chat for me? Or maybe I got it in before I left. I don't remember the details. But that stream kind of ended up being really good because it just turned to Barry doing a podcast about Digimon, like impromptu in the middle of my stream. And honestly, I live for spur of the moment shit like that. Like, I can think like, oh, personally, this was a fucking disaster because of like what happened that like made the stream had to be like this, but because that happened, it became its own thing. But yeah, I didn't want to use my normal setup. I wanted to have something special in theme for that week for the Backyard Brawl block as a way of advertising last-minute signups and things like that. So yeah. Also, this interior was made when most of the exterior was already done. Pretty much everything was done. I just hadn't done final rendering yet. There was like a few stuff I had to tweak, a few extra background characters I wanted, that kind of thing. I think I was waiting on Rosie's monkey. It was like one of the things I was waiting on. So yeah, one of the things, there's a couple things wrong with this scene that it needs and it didn't have. I mentioned there's no game overlay. There's no like good way of making a video game appear while not leaving this environment. That's a thing I'm struggling with a lot creatively, is making a cool environment, but also being able to do regular video game streaming while not making it feel like we've left that environment. And that's very difficult to do, especially with the 3D art that I make. If I was using drawn art, I could much more easily distort space visually in a way that doesn't make physical sense, but makes sense. Okay, no, that's actually the credits music. Doesn't make physical sense, but makes like visual sense, you know? So one of the limitations of using Blender the way I use it and thinking very literally about spaces is that making setups like that is very difficult. The same thing with, and we're about to get into this actually, but the OBS setup involves a lot of stuff like this. Me dealing with the problem of I'm working in 3D with camera lenses and I'm trying to superimpose images. So we can pop back over here. So that's everything I have to say about the Blender project. And it only took us an hour. That's good. We're making good time. We're on, what page are we on? We're on page 3 of my document. Okay, well, we'll see how this goes, I guess. I'm gonna check Discord real quick. So, OBS. My OBS setup is very strange. My OBS setup is very, very strange. Oh yeah, I have another screenshot. Here's what the Brawl looked like initially. With some of the placeholder assets. Guess I should show that really quick before we move on. So this, let's start by let's just look at this for a minute. So this is the camera switcher. This is a scene I have nested inside of this scene that has the host camera stuff in here. So we have this camera shot, which is behind this that I reveal by like clicking on it. And you'll see I'm behind the chair, the table still in that shot right there. You see that? So the way this works is a little fucking convoluted. But first we're gonna talk about how the camera's working. So I use a plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher, or Automatic Scene Switcher. There's a built-in OBS function that has a very similar name but doesn't do what I want it to do, and then there's a plugin that has a very similar name that does what I want it to do. And it's confusing sometimes. I can't remember which one's which. But what this is several scripts I wrote that check what camera is currently visible. So it checks what camera that OBS is showing you, and then it has a bunch of countdown timers set to random lengths of time. And when the countdown timer hits 0 for a given scene, if it's the next scene, that camera angle will become the new camera angle. So this is why the length of every shot is different, because I randomized it. However, the way I randomized it was not very good, because every single random timer is ticking down simultaneously for all 5 camera angles that are in this shot, or in this scene. And because of that, you will occasionally get shots that are really, really short and get cut away from immediately. So when you see like cut, like in sequence, what that is my bad programming. Because because coincidentally, the random times that the different timers have picked were in like sequence. So like camera 1 had like 2 seconds left, then camera 2 had like 3 seconds left, then camera 4 had 4 seconds left, and they are in sequence going ding, 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 ding really quickly. It's a whole fucking thing, and it's not a good way of doing this, and I'll figure something else out next time. But the reason I had to do all of this in OBS instead of just making it a video that looped like I did with the Hellstream, because the Hellstream is a looping video. There's no like programming going on here. The reason I had to program this is because for every single camera angle in this project, I had to specifically arrange and layer all of the characters that were appearing as part of the brawl. The hosts and the brawlers all have to be inserted into the 3D space visually. And the consequence of this is, let me actually turn off the script that makes the cameras change. Okay. So, the way this works, let me go to the camera switch. So I can like make this go away. And I have like I have a black background here that I use. This is why you see a frame of black, by the way. That's another major problem, is whenever the script changes scenes, it first hides a camera, and then it goes to the next camera, and then it reveals the next camera. But the problem is, there is a bit of like render lag when it does this. I think even if I set it so it revealed the next camera and then hid the previous one, I think it would still do this, where it doesn't show any video, and it will for one frame show the black background instead. And that's why there's like a flicker whenever the cameras change. And that's a whole fucking... Ugh. That's the other problem, is that it fucking flickers. I think it's a good idea to have cameras automatically change, but it is much more of a problem that that it's randomized in the way that it is. I think on stream, I called it a convolution device that controlled the cameras. Because it's just, I threw some math at it to make the cameras do whatever they wanted. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so this camera angle. This is camera number 4. The one that's facing the monkey, which, by the way, There's the monkey holding the camera. So the way this thing works... did I talk about that fucking health bar? Where did I put that? Did I fucking miss the health bar? I think I did. I literally did. So the health bar... Okay, well, I guess I'll show you the health bar. I don't... This is a different project, so I'm just going to show a screenshot. Oh, I'm in the wrong... There I am. I'm just going to show you a fucking screenshot. Here's what the health bar looks like. It's a 3D model I made, and the texture for it is from Polyhaven, with a normal map and everything, and then I applied some color to it to give it like a bit of shading. And then I cut it up into a bunch of different pieces to create layer masks that I could use to make these health bars appear as they do on stream. So that the portraits appear inside of the circle, the health bars appear inside of the rectangle, and everything's layered correctly, and it looks nice and lovely. I think it worked out pretty well. So... Right, okay. Okay, so the camera thing. So, I don't know what's the best way to explain this, but... in OBS, this project, there are 34 unique scenes in OBS just for the Backyard Brawl project. This is not counting the chats, by the way, which are each their own scene because of how I aligned them. I didn't count the chats. I forgot to count that. But that would have added like 3 more scenes to that count. 34! Most people's stream setups have 1 or 2 scenes. But because of how this whole setup works, I need a bunch. So every single camera angle has several scenes associated with it. And OBS lets you nest scenes within each other. So for this, for instance, I have the camera switcher scene, which is another scene in OBS that I can manipulate like a source within another scene, see? There's all these elements, they're all together, they're not fucking around or anything, it works, it just works. And anything, and I can change stuff within this scene while, like, being within another scene. It's a whole thing. It's very, very powerful. Once you learn that you can nest scenes in OBS, you can do a lot of fancy stuff. Like, all these like fancy little sleight of hand, little tricks, little things, cute little layering details, that kind of thing. So, the way these characters appear behind the ropes, you see how NyQuil and Winnie are behind the ropes, and you see how I'm behind the table and I'm behind the ropes? This is using something in OBS called a mask. I know stuff like Photoshop and stuff has this too, but I'm not super familiar with how it works in those programs. I'm only familiar with how it works in OBS. What I am using here is transparency masks. So I take an alpha channel, which is the part of the image that's transparent, and I apply it to scenes containing the characters in order to make it appear as though they are standing behind objects. And you can actually see, if I go into, we're on camera... What camera? We're on camera 4. We're on camera 4. So you can see, I can take the video away. And you'll see, even though the environment is gone, where the fuck is my face? Ow, there's still a table in my face. And the reason for that is because an alpha mask is applied to the scene that contains my talk spray. And that alpha mask makes it so that any part of the scene that I'm in that appears where the objects are that I want to appear behind, it makes it so those parts are transparent. Which means I'm behind the table, essentially. Same thing for the ropes. You can see some lines on NyQuil there, where the ropes are. This is what, fuck camera 4? Here's the background. Oh wait, this is the still work in progress version of the background. Here it is. Also, here's an indicator number hidden over there. But, we have, like, I can take, here's the host camera, and I can, like, move me around, and you can see, once I become desynced, once I grab my scene and desync it, like misalign it, you can see that it's following me, right? Because I am sitting inside of a 1080p window. I'm a very small object in a 1080p window, and the transparency effect is applied to that whole window itself, which is how the transparency illusion works. And in order to do that, I need to have one scene. In this shot specifically, I have one scene that just has Betsy and Winnie in it. Because Betsy and Winnie are supposed to be behind the ropes, but they're not supposed to be behind the ropes that are on the far side, the back end of the ring, right? They need to appear in front of parts of the ring. But me and Chili, which, by the way, let me summon Chili's shadow clone. I think I have a Chili shadow clone in here. Here's Chili's shadow clone. That's not real Chili. She's not here. Chili also appears behind the ropes. Chili and I are part of the same scene, and we have a transparency mask that includes the front end of the kiddie pool, it includes the cooler, and it includes the chair. But it also includes the entirety of the wrestling ring in front of us. And then NyQuil and Winnie's lair has a different transparency channel, which only has that rope in the very foreground of the scene, being the thing that's cut out. And that's how that works. And that's why it takes multiple scenes, because I'm applying the modifier to the entire scene and not the individual elements. Because if you apply it to the individual elements, then every element needs to be like a 16:9 1080p image for it to align correctly, and that's dumb as fuck. Although actually, the background in this is rendered in 720p, in case you're wondering. The render times for this Blender project was insane. Like, I'm not joking, it took several days to render out everything you see here. Several days of just waiting for my computer to be done drawing pictures. I need a new GPU. So, there you go. 34 scenes. So, there are 3 main scenes. One of those main scenes is this you're seeing right here. This is the host camera main scene. Which actually, the host camera is its own scene inside of this scene. The host camera is also nested. So, like I can pick it up and move it around if I want to. So we have the main scene, then we have the station ID, which we'll talk about more in a bit. Then we have the guy hour, which again, we'll talk about more in a bit. Those are the 3 main ones. Those kind of stand mostly as their own thing. And in this case of the main scene contains a bunch of different scenes, but we're not really counting that because it's kind of just like my home page for where I'm operating everything. Also, I have the characters hidden back here inside of this scene, so I can, without using OBS's studio mode, I could so here's NyQuil. So I could just open up NyQuil and swap her out with Punish Scrimblim, just like that. And you'll notice, if I go back to this, Punish Scrimblim is now in the arena because every single image of our 2 brawlers references the same object. So the source so what that means is this Scrimblim right here, this is the prime Scrimblim. Anything I do to this source in OBS gets applied to every other instance. Scrimblim up here changes, Scrimblim down there changes. Scrimblim in every single camera angle changes, all because it's referencing this in OBS. They're all referencing the same image source. So if I change the file that this object is pointing towards to get its image from, every other image changes. It's very easy. And I have the same thing happening with the text. You can actually see the text is here too. I have it hidden here, so it's very easy to type into. So I can go Scrimblim like that. And tuck it back behind. And these actually have their own... Yeah, these have their own scene because I have this aligned. I have this set up so that the text gets smaller the more you type. So theoretically, any name I entered, you know, any name I entered should fit. Any name I enter in there should fit. It looks a bit jank, hi Chili. It looks a bit jank, and the image gets all distorted, but otherwise it's, you know, it works. So yeah, 34 fucking scenes. Let me see. 3 of those scenes are just for the health bars. 3 of those scenes just are for the health bars. One of those scenes is where all the cameras live when they get switched around by my script. 2 of those scenes are for aligning the brawler name tags on the top and for aligning the brawlers in every single subsequent scene. I have them nested, and then I have the images set to... I have the image source set to fit to frame, so it will automatically scale. So if someone gives me a 4K image for some fucking reason, that image should still fit comfortably within the confines because it'll get scaled. Let me see. Camera number 1 has 5 scenes. Camera number 2 has 5 scenes. Camera number 3 has 2 scenes. Any camera angle that doesn't feature Betsy and Chili is 3 less scenes. 5 for camera 4, 2 for camera 5, 2 for the host camera itself, and then 2 for specifically aligning Betsy and Chili's talk sprites. So another thing that's happening, and you can kind of see it over here, is the image of my talk sprite gets distorted. It's different. It looks different a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell. So what's happening here is I actually still have the reference image, I'm pretty sure. Let me grab it. Yeah, here it is. Here's my proprietary alignment image. So this is the proprietary alignment image. I just made an image with a couple shapes and some text and stuff. And you can see it up close here. I was using this as a 3D transformation, like, reference image. So what I would do is I would go into Blender. I would go into Blender, and I would... and this is, like, kind of a bad idea, and it sort of doesn't really work, and I would not put this much effort into doing this ever again. But if I go here... Yes, you can see here they are. I got one for Betsy and one for Chili. And the way this worked was I would grab a render of just these images, and then I would drag them into OBS, and I would apply a 3D transformation on Betsy's talk sprite using this image as reference. So I would import this image. That's why the image is in OBS too. And I would align it with a reference of the thing in Blender. So problem with that is lens distortion. So Blender, like most 3D rendering software, simulates the physics of a real camera lens. And because of that, images at the edges of the screen get more distorted than the images at the center of the screen because it's a curved lens. That's how the angle of the lens, and all that shit. I'm not a camera scientist, but that's generally how it works. That's field of view in video games, is like how much of the lens you're seeing. I literally can zoom out to increase the FOV in Blender, which I'm not showing you, but I can do this. Like, this is me increasing the FOV. That's how FOV works, blah, 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 blah. This is also like, camera focal length type shit. So I think the end result of 3D transforming everything kind of looks pretty good. Like, I'll swap over to Betsy for a second. Like, here's Betsy. And, like, it looks pretty good. It looks better than if Betsy was looking straight at the camera. Even if I don't think it looks perfect, I do think it still looks better than if I didn't try to apply a transformation to it at all. I think it worked out pretty well, just generally speaking. Checking. Okay. Also, the Yeehaw command so I didn't really need to nest Betsy's talk sprite as much as I did, but because I did, like the Yeehaw command works. Yeehaw! The Yeehaw command works on this scene, but no one used it. Weirdly enough, we got some dueling grunts, and we got like a no fear during the backyard brawl, but no one howdied. I'm surprised no one howdied because the hat was way too big and I didn't scale it properly. I think that hat is scaled to Maisie right now. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going through my notes. Okay, we covered the 3D transformation for the talk sprites. Oh, yeah. So the making of the actual alpha masks themselves is kind of interesting. I actually still have evidence of it here. Yeah, here. So these cubes here, this is an object I use to cut the pool in half with like a Boolean modifier. I made like a copy of it and then like I cut it in half. There's a couple objects in this. So this has or at least it had a modifier on it to like cut this in half, and then I just rendered just this visible part and not the part that was like inside the cube, and that's how Chili appears inside the pool. Is yeah, because it's the same continuous object, so I had to do a little bit of like fancy work to make that work. Of course, that does mean if Chili were somehow to move like to the left or right, she would clip through the pool visibly, but we only have to make stuff look... Why does this keep getting unhidden? We only have to make stuff look good if it's going to be visible. And no one was ever going to... The music wasn't playing because I was on the wrong scene. Sorry, I'm switching between a lot. 34 scenes, by the way. There's a lot to manage here. Okay. So yeah, I did that same thing with the cube. I did it for the ring as well to get the ropes and stuff in the exact angles I wanted to. Yeah, all of that work to make this happen, all of that is because I'm pre-rendering my backgrounds and I'm not doing this in real time in like Unity or Godot. Ideally, the Backyard Brawl and similar streams would happen in real time inside of a program like Godot, where I have like ultimate real-time camera control over everything. That's ideal, that's the dream, and I really want to make that happen one day. I put like a little bit of work into learning some of the basics of like Godot, but I'm a long ways away from making anything meaningful out of it. Okay, gamers, it's time to talk about the programming. Let's talk about the programming because, you know, let's start with the demonstration. Let's start with the demonstration. Let's start with the little demonstration. So, right now the channel points are disabled. The channel point redeems are disabled, but all the scripting is still here, so I can activate it manually in the background. You just pull up my dashboard. So real quick, let's just do a rundown of what happens whenever a fight starts. So the health bars are set
What's
at
the
whatever.
matter? Scared of beans? Space boy.
Thank you for the redeem, Mega Man. Right in the beans. So let me see here. Yeah, let's just demonstrate it. So I have a button here that says start fight. I hit start fight, Blockhead posts in chat, a timer appears, and chat can do channel point redeems to deal damage. I have a button here that fires it arbitrarily, so I can just like spam hurt Winnie over and over again, and then I can hurt Scrimblin. And this is how chat votes on who they want to win. So the previous character tournament was just a series of chat polls where chat would vote in a poll in chat who they wanted to win, and the winner of that poll would determine the winner. Very straightforward. Actually, believe it or not, having it be chat who determines who wins was a last-minute decision. It was one of my chat mods that like just ran a poll, and during the backyard, the barnyard brawl.
Could you give us some of your political
Kill
beliefs?
everyone now.
Kill everyone now.
Condone
Condone
first-degree
first-degree
murder.
murder. Advocate
cannibalism.
cannibalism. Eat shit.
Rigged.
You know, it's funny you say rigged, because there was a thing I forgot that I did until like 2/3 through the stream. Which, by the way, when this timer runs out, it does a tiebreaker. Chat, you motherfuckers engaged with my mechanics so much, you never got to see the timer run out. I had to write a function to make that work. It was just a simple if-then, but like, no one ever got to see that happen, but that is a functionality. The tournament timer is fully functional. So the way this works is these two health bars up here you see are donation goal objects. They're donation goal modules from Mix It Up. I am using a program called Mix It Up. One word. Mix It Up. That's what I'm using for most, if not all, of my chat interactivity on stream these days. The one thing Mix It Up doesn't do is the alert box stuff right now. Although I intend to do a custom like Sammy thing or something in the future for that. So Mix It Up is pretty useful. It's got some limitations to it, but it can do some very simple things that I needed to do. The big one is it can interact with Twitch channel points to have channel point reward redemptions in Twitch chat directly run functions in Mix It Up. So that's the basis of this, was I wanted the voting system for this stream to be different from the last two. I didn't want it to just be chat polls again, because that's... Chat polls are nice, and it's a good, like, American Idol type thing, right? But that's good for American Idol. That's good for, like, The Voice, right? That's good for You're the Youngest Person Ever, right? But for a fight, it doesn't actually make that much sense. It does make a degree of sense as, like, you're lending them your energy, like, and they're doing Spirit Bomb stuff, and that is still what we're doing, like, thematically. But instead, I was like, okay, I need to start turning the Brawl into like a video game. There has to be like actual health bars, and combat needs to happen. It can't just be the characters silently standing next to each other while I narrate a chat poll that the VOD can't see. Right? That's what I needed it to be. So I was like, okay, well, it's gonna be like an actual fighting game with a fighting game UI with the health bars at the top of the screen, and the characters are gonna exist in a real 3D space. They're not just gonna be superimposed over a moving image like they were in the last two ones. I'm actually going to stand their fucking feet on the ground in 3D space. So that's what we've done here. That's why I went through all this fucking trouble. Is because I want to get as close to, with my current workflow, creating like if someone doesn't know what they're looking at, if someone tunes in randomly out of context, I want them to be able to look at this and think that it might actually be a video game. If they're so, like an actual like dedicated program I made, which it's not. It's OBS and Mix It Up and a little bit of Streamlabs, but like using, so okay, the big like the big powerful thing that happened, the difference maker here, is I discovered I could make a global variable and mix it up. Now, if you don't know programming, variables are important. And mix it up is a little annoying about when you get to use variables, but I finally managed to figure out how they worked and how Mix It Up was able to use them. And this meant I could declare a variable that is, say, the health value of a health bar. And I could declare 2 variables like that. And then I could have functions that edit the value of that health bar in real time. And I realized that the donation goal object in Mix It Up, you can have that reference a variable for its progress instead of directly referencing like donation values or sub counts or anything like that. You can add a custom value to your donation goal object. So what these are, and this is stuff I figured out while I was working on Maisie's stream, by the way. Maisie's fucking like boob mechanic is the predecessor to Backyard Brawl's entire like software backend is literally because I needed a way for the audience to make Maisie's boobs bigger. One thing led to another, and now we have this. So each of these health bars is a donation goal. And the way this works is the Mix It Up is looking at health value 1 and health value 2, and then saying, okay, well, that value is going to be what our donation goal equals. The value defaults to 100, so each character has 100 health, and every single time you redeem support left, you hurt the character on the right for 1 damage. So, I actually have some pictures. I have some screenshots from Mix It Up. Let's just go through those. Now that I've done the overview, let's just go through the screenshots. So here's one of them. It's this. So these are all the main functions that control the fights. This is everything that makes the fights happen. So I guess I'll just go down the list here. The first thing makes the bell ring. The bell ringing sound effect is its own function, and I call on it more than once. It rings the bell at the start, it rings the bell at the end, so it made sense just to have a function that's just for ringing the fucking bell, and then have other functions call on it, so I could change the bell if I wanted to. Then we have a function that just sets both the health bars back to full, then we have the hertz, and then we have start and stop. Most of the work happens in start and stop. That's where like most of the scripting like actually is. Everything else is like relatively simple and like called on by other stuff. Yeah, so the effect where I can literally do that right now actually. The effect where Scrimblow wins and it rings the bell a bunch, that's just me hitting stop fight. Every single time I hit stop fight, it checks who wins and then declares the winner again. That's why that happens. I have a little panel of buttons that I can press to arbitrarily trigger different parts of my script, of my program, like different functions that I made that don't normally get triggered on their own. Normally, the stop fight function is only triggered by a health bar reaching 0 or the timer reaching 0. That's how a fight stops, which we'll get into. So here is... Oh yeah, here's the hurt script. So whenever you redeemed a channel point, it did this. This was specifically the support left fighter. So if you wanted to support the fighter on the left, it would do this function, which I have helpfully labeled because it's good for organization and it's just generally good practice. You'll see here, I have to make it bigger so I can see it. You'll see here, we start with a conditional, and this conditional checks for a value called stop fight. And stop fight is like a Boolean, essentially. I don't think you can declare Booleans in this. I actually have no idea. All these are integer. These are all like fucking like 32-bit integers or some shit. Like I actually have no idea what type of values they are because Mix It Up doesn't fucking tell me. I'm just using the interface. So what this does is it checks essentially what stop fight means. If stop fight equals 1, that means a fight isn't happening. So if stop fight equals 1 and you redeem hurt left, Mix It Up says, okay, and then it does nothing. So that's why you were able to redeem the channel point rewards when a fight wasn't happening and it wouldn't do anything. So that was my stopgap to make sure no one can kill the opponent while the match is already over, essentially. Because you need to be able to turn this on and off for it to work at all. So then we have deal damage. It plays a random punch sound effect. I found a library of CC0 like combat sound effects, and I grabbed a couple like hit sounds I liked and sounded okay. I added them to a pool of random sounds that Mix It Up could pull from with another function that's somewhere else that I'm not going to bother showing you because it's not interesting. And it just plays a random like thwack sound. So that's where those sound effects are coming from. And then it does a check. Every single time you deal damage, it checks, the software checks to see if that damage you just dealt was the killing blow or not. So if the damage you dealt reduced the health bar to 0, the fight stops and it runs the stop fight command. And that's what makes the bell ring. That's what makes the channel point stuff turn off. And then it determines who the winner is, etc., etc. This is the start fight command. Gotta start the fight before you can stop it. I just grabbed the Mix It Up chat instead. So this one... So whenever I hit the button, this is the one that I have to trigger. This is the only thing I trigger manually in this entire setup, by the way. All I do to make the fights work is hit start. I made sure of that. So the way this works is, first it sets stop fight to equaling 0, which means all the functions that you are interacting with will now start to work. So all the channel point stuff starts to work once that's set to 0. Then it enables a timer. And of course, the timer is a... So the timer is another Mix It Up function that's just built into the software. So I didn't have to like write anything for that. The funny thing about that is the match timer is actually a subathon countdown timer. So it's a timer intended to be used where people like sub to you and the time increases so the stream gets longer. It just so happens that it also functions like a normal timer if you use it in the right way. So good for me, I guess. I'm glad it works like a normal timer too. Because the timer can run a command once it hits 0. That was the important part, was that it could run a command. So I set it to start at 90 seconds, and when it hits 0, it runs stop fight, which checks who has more health, and that's one of the ways to end a fight. But like I said earlier, you guys in chat never let a fight run the timer out. You never let it run the timer out. I probably should have set it to 60 seconds, TBH, but oh well. So then we have run health bar reset. So when I hit start, it resets the health bars. I made it so the health bars reset at the start and not at the end, just in case I like missed who won. I could look at the health bars and see who has more or less health, like visually, and that would have helped me not fuck something up. Then I have blockhead posts. You'll see blockhead obviously posts whenever the fight starts or stops. That was to increase clarity for the chat, so people could understand when was the time to interact with the channel points and when was the time not to interact with the channel points. So when Blockhead says the fight has started, that means start clicking the button. When Blockhead says the fight is over, that's your cue to stop. And because it's posting in chat, it skips stream delay, ideally. So that's another bonus. It's better than having the winner thing pop up on screen be the only indicator. Also, it's really good for testing to have a string output somewhere. And then, of course, the ring bell sound on the start. Of course, I just wrote a fucking function that just does that. Okay, I accidentally opened up my sound mixer. That's cool. And then we have this next. And this is the stop fight command. So whenever a fight ends, it does this. First, it sets stop fight equal to 1, which turns off the channel point stuff, which the channel point stuff only works if stop fight equals 0, but now it equals 1, which means the audience can no longer interact with the software whatsoever. It just ignores all your inputs. The timer gets turned off, so this is to make sure that the timer doesn't keep counting down and then trigger stop fight again after the fact. This is in case the fight ends with one of the health bars getting reduced to 0, which apparently is the only way a fight ended, so it's a good thing I wrote that. Then the left wins and right wins, those are checks, those are conditionals. So if left wins, it goes, okay, I'll make winner appear on the left side. And if right wins, it makes winner appear on the right side. That's all it does. In hindsight, I should have had Blockhead post who won in chat, because that also would have added for extra clarity, so I could have like a record of like who won what match, but you know. And then it plays the bell sound again, and that's pretty much it. That's the programming part. It's pretty simple. So I mentioned, so Mac made a joke about it being rigged, and there is, so okay. Let me pull this back up. So here's the damage script, right? Right? Here's the damage script. So do you see like fucking this part? The deal damage part? So, problem. It turned out not to be a problem, but while I was testing, so as part of these commands, I have, so deal damage is a function, or rather, it's an action inside of this script that reduces the value of the health bar it's targeting by a certain amount. And the health bars have 100 health, so how much this damage does determines how fast the fight goes. For almost the entire stream, this was unintentional, but for almost the entire stream, except for the last 5 matches, all of those fights had double damage enabled. So it was set to -2 health instead of -1. That wasn't intentional, and that is absolutely why some of those fights went so fucking fast, is because I had double damage enabled. But it ended up working out. Well, one, it double damage is enabled on both sides, so it was actually even. It's a good thing. I made sure to double check that they weren't different, like midstream after like the 3rd fight. I was like, wait, let me just check really quick. Yeah, and that actually ended up working out. And genuinely, I'm probably gonna do something similar to this on purpose next time. That ended up working out pretty damn well, because the pace early on was fast and exciting, but because I changed the damage values in half towards the end, like I fixed it, those last few matches, the semifinals, ended up having much longer fights that got to get dragged out a little bit, which meant it was like more tense and it demanded more interactions from the audience for the health bars to get reduced to 0. So, you know, ramps up the tension in the finale. It all ended up working out. So it was a happy little accident. I need to drink water. Not a bug, it's a feature, yup. I mean, it literally is a feature. It was user error. I'm the only user of the software, and I fucked up using it, even though I made it. Like, I mean, I didn't mix it up, but you know what I mean. All right, that is, I think that's all the scripting. That's all the scripting. Shout outs to Maisie and her awesome boobs. Without her, none of this would be possible. So, shout outs to the princess. All right, we are on to our next major topic, actually. We're on page 5. We're halfway. It's only been 2 hours. That's good, because I have another 4 hours left before I gotta go. So we have another thing to talk about, and that's the station ID. By the way, chat, how can you hear me over this music? How audible am I? Because on OBS, it looks like the music is really fucking loud, but it's like really muffled, so it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, you can hear me fine. A bit loud. Yeah, it is a bit loud. Okay, it's on -6. I'll put it like all the way down here. That should be good. Because we're gonna sit here as I talk about this. This screen. So the BHPA TV is kind of a. I didn't set out with the intent to make this. But it was just okay. To tell the story of BHPA TV, I kind of have to like tell the story of this filter we're using here. So we're using a filter from a pack called Retro Effects. This is a plugin you can get for OBS. I'm also using user-defined shaders, which is another plugin, and I'm using a lot of the example shaders from that. But this effect for this video here, which I turned the music off because we switched to a scene with music, but this here, if I click, I want to pull up my filter. This is a filter, obviously, and I can turn it off. Here's what everything looks like without it. This is an NTSC video like filter, so it's meant to look like a really shitty like TV broadcast essentially, and all the colors bleed and all that, and it all looks this, that, and the other thing. Funnily enough, this version of Chili actually looks totally fine, but for some reason the real Chili got affected by the filters like way worse. I think the reason why that happened is because I was testing it with this OBS source and not her actual TalkSprite like source. That's probably how that happened. But I was trying to figure out like an aesthetic because the Blender stuff was pretty much done. Everything was pretty much done, and I was kind of just waiting on a couple assets. I was waiting on some render stuff to be ready to go, and I needed to make some stuff work. I don't know. I needed some sauce to make the stream feel right, and it just kind of became. I was fucking with filters. Because I was like, maybe there's like a global effect I can apply that will make it look more interesting, or maybe communicate some part of the fiction or something. And eventually I found this NTSC filter, and I was like, this looks like shit, but I can like look at it. This doesn't look like unwatchably shit. This is like the right amount of shit, and it fucks with the colors, and it gives my 3D art. It gives my 3D art like a new vibe that it didn't have before. The color bleed is interesting in a lot of ways, and I like, for instance, I like how the trees bleed into purple against the sky in the background there. I like how that looks. Is that the reflection in the window? Yeah, the windows have reflections, yeah. It's pre-rendered. The windows all are actually reflective, and there are a couple shots where you can totally see that. Like here. In the right there, you can see characters being reflected and moving around. RTX is on. Well, that's the thing. These are pre-rendered, so I can afford to have reflections. I can afford to have the lighting and the reflections look the way they do because I'm not rendering in real time. It's just a video. That's the thing. Stuff would look way different in real time if I ever get around to doing Godot stuff. So I saw this and I was like, you know what? What if this was a TV broadcast, like a real, like not just a live stream, but what if we were actually on TV? Like actually on TV. And that kind of, the exact details of this train of thought and this creative thing, like, it's a little fuzzy for me, because it kind of just fucking happened. It kind of like just fucking happened. You want to see Chili's full fucking TalkSprite? There it is. There it is. She's got legs. Don't worry. So I don't know. It just kind of was like, oh, you didn't show it? Did I not? There. The music cuts out and everything when I do it. Do it again. The void where the prime chili lives. That all the chilies reference. That, by the way, that scene I switched to, that's the chili scene. That's the scene that only has chili in it. That is referenced by every other scene in this project. So it kind of was just like, oh, public access TV. Public access TV. Just kind of came naturally to me, right? It's that retro aesthetic. It's that, like, low budget, local, personal, public broadcast. Anybody, any dumbass who knows that the public broadcast station exists can get a time slot in it. Like, that kind of stuff, right? And I realized, oh my god, that's, like, perfect. Backyard wrestling on public broadcast? Like on... Like, just, like, this fucking station that just has, like, a name bullshit on it. And, like, some news sometimes. Perfect. Perfect. So, I was like, alright, well, first things first is the logo. Because I was like, okay, now that we're doing a TV station, we need to have a TV station. Like, I can say I'm I can say I'm on public broadcast, but I can't just say, oh, I'm on public broadcast, and then not mention what fucking channel I'm on. So, all of a sudden, wait, we're on public broadcast turns into, oh my god, I get to build a fake brand? I get to just do fucking world building for the sake of it? So I did. And the first thing that happened was, so we had the NTSC filters, blah, 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 blah. I've been talking a lot without looking at my notes, so I have to catch up where I am in my notes. And also, public broadcast works into the narrative and themes that I talked about earlier of this is Betsy, like, working for herself under her own means, and, you know, the stakes are clearly, like, defined as being non-existent, right? It's public broadcast TV of some some dumb motherfuckers are doing in their backyard. Now, how did she get the budget? And she got a wife out of it, too. Chili, am I allowed to mention the real-life off-stream relationship there? I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but... Yeah, you don't care? Okay. So I mentioned earlier that I'm plural. A lot of people I know are plural. A lot of my partners are. We have many different sonas that are their own persons, etc. Blah, 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 blah. I don't talk about it too much on stream because I don't really care to, but it's an important part of me, part of us, and our sonas are representations of that. And Chili is similar to some extent. And NyQuil and Betsy are actually dating. They are big butch wives together. And originally they were supposed to, like, meet each other for the first time, like, at the Backyard Brawl, but in part because of the delays, we just kind of, like, dropped that plot point because they had just been fucking wives, big huge woman wives for, like, months and months by the time the stream actually happened. So yeah, second time because they were in the health tournament. Yeah, pretty much, Mega Man. We should write about the meeting in canon. We should. Genuinely, Chili, real shit, talk to me off stream because I still have that Betsy, like, I still have that outline of Betsy's story between Hellstream and Backyard Brawl, and I would love to work on that with you. I'm not fucking kidding. I would love to work with that on you. We can do that together. That'd be awesome. So, I do have a note in here that I really wish I came up with the public access TV idea much sooner than I actually did. And there's one major reason for that. This entire stream is in 16:9. But the era of public broadcast TV that I'm like spoofing would be in 4:3. Like, if I was being real artsy fartsy about this whole stream would have been in 4:3. But by the time I had that idea, I was almost done with most of the assets, which meant that it would be unreasonable to go back and change all of that. Like, that was literally never going to happen. So, oh well. And also, 16:9 gives me more screen real estate to work with anyway, so so the logo. You see the logo in the top right of the screen. A TV station needs a logo. A TV station needs an identity, a name. The only thing BHPA doesn't have is a TV channel number. I never got it a channel number. I'm not going to worry too much about that. The canon for that, we can decide at a later date, and it's not that important. Some stations are named after the number they have, like, you know, the number of the channel they're on, whereas this isn't anyway, so that means the number can be, like, whatever. So will the TV aesthetic thing be every stream thing? Not every stream. Not every stream, but I didn't make all these assets to just not use them again. So, like, I really want to do more with BHPA TV. I want to do more, which, by the way, BHPA TV stands for Blockhead Public Access Television, in case you're wondering. Let's get into the fucking logo, though. So once I decided on the public broadcast aesthetic, to tie everything together, I needed a brand. I'm just reading directly from my notes. This is a creative task I hadn't committed to doing in the past, so I'm kind of allergic, or because I'm kind of allergic to making real branding for myself. That's true. I'm a little shithead. I hate playing the branding game. I hate playing the monetization game. I hate playing the promotion game, even though it's in my best interest to do so. So it was kind of a big leap to make me do something like this. So I wanted the logo to be plausibly realistic, but I also wanted it to be, like, unmistakably mine. So having Blockhead be the subject of the logo was really important. And so I don't have any specific examples for the inspiration for the logo's design, because I kind of winged it, and I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you in a second here, because I do have the project files for it. But yeah, using Blockhead for that logo was my first idea, and there's a bunch of design elements for... Exactly! Mac, exactly! It's used in a way where you cannot notice it. That's like why I think the logo works so well, is because if you know what it is, you can recognize it, like, if you're looking at it and looking for that design. But if you don't know what it is, it kind of just looks like it might be like a building or like a factory with, like, smokestacks with, like, a sun behind it, right? Because, like the circle being a sun is clear, but yeah. So I wanted something that was evocative of morning and evening programming, right? So, like, morning news programming often uses like orange and reds to represent the sunrise, and they'll use circles and sometimes, like, a semicircle, like rainbow type shapes and things like that, because, you know, it's the rising sun. It is the thing you're watching before you go on your early morning commute or you go to school, that kind of programming. And it's evocative of a setting sun. I want something evocative of a setting sun. I'm describing my intent and I'm describing the result because I did manage to get this, so sorry if my tense is fucked up when I'm talking about this. I also wanted something evocative of the setting sun because of evening programming. and like, all right, the sun's setting, it's time for the weird hour of TV, like that kind of shit, right? And there's some like I've seen a lot of logos in my time on Earth, so it's hard for me to cite specific examples. I racked my brain a little bit, and I think the one I can think of, you should probably be able to look at the logo while I'm talking about it. The one thing I can think of is like the Williams Street production logo, which is like an Adult Swim production company, and that one has like the harsh shadow lighting on one end, and then it's like negative white space on the other end. And that's kind of what the blockhead setup looks like. But let's literally just open up the file. It's in here. And right here. Here is the BHPA TV logo. As you can see, blockhead is literally here. This just literally blockhead is here. And I'm using an orthographic camera. Orthographic, that is correct. I'm just making sure I say it right, so no one makes fun of me. This is an orthographic camera. And what an orthographic camera is it lacks perspective. So you actually see right here, if I line myself up with like approximately the camera's position, it doesn't look quite right, but then it snaps into place. So orthographic cameras do not have lens distortion, and kind of as a result, they also don't have any depth. So no matter how far away, and well, actually not as a result, but they also don't have any depth. So no matter how far away blockhead is, like I could make blockhead go like all the fuck the way over here, and it'll still look exactly the same, despite blockhead being all the way over there. It still looks the same. So that was something I did because I wanted this to look like it wasn't made in Blender. I wanted this to look like it was made in Photoshop. And you'll see the shading. There's the logo. Although you'll notice it's a little different. It's a little different. For one, this black shading, by the way, it's real. Like literally, it's just the sun, and I turned the harshness of the light up so high that it full blasts the facing surfaces towards the light, and then all the world lighting in this scene is just, the world lighting is turned off entirely. So like if I turned it on, you could see it lights up on this side, but because I'm not using anything, can I just like get rid of this? There we go. All right. So because there's no lighting, it's just completely black wherever the sun's not hitting. Though you'll notice there's some color bleed going on here between the blue of this text and the green of blockhead. So what I ended up doing, I rendered these objects out separately, and I put them into GIMP, GNU image manipulation program, and I assembled it there. That's also where I added the circle. And I have the first version of the logo right here. It's huge as fuck. Here it is. This is what it looked like originally. So after I did Blender and all that shit, it popped out looking like this. And I have... So, okay, making art is weird for me because I have a lot of, like, visual skills I should have that I just don't have developed at all. I don't have a sense for a lot of things visually. It's easier to concept stuff than it is to, like, make it real. And one of those things is color. So this logo started its life being green and blue and orange, which I don't think I have to tell you, this looks kind of ugly. So I asked some of Chili's friends. Chili's friends with some folks who know a little bit about graphic design. And I literally just like went into their server, dropped this logo in, and I was like, hey, help. Can you help? Tell me what colors are, and tell me how to make colors good. So they did, and because I had all of these elements in OBS, not OBS,
all of these, I had the text exported separately and blockhead exported separately. So it was very easy for me to like readjust stuff and move it around whenever I needed to. And also like add the circle to the back. So then there was like an initial round of suggestions of like, hey, maybe change this to this color. This and this color makes more sense, etc., etc. And I did. And this one looks a little bit closer, although the black shadows are gone. I think like folks who know graphic design rightfully were probably like, yeah, the huge like part that's like pitch black is probably not good for a logo. And they're correct. However, I wanted my harsh shading anyway, so that's what we did. And then the final logo, do I have the final logo on hand? I do. Then adjusted the colors a little bit more, and we got this. So right now, this is the final logo. This is what you'll buy on the mugs and shit. Which, by the way, this is what's on the mugs. This is what's on everything. I do think this design needs a little bit of tweaking still, but it's very minor adjustments. Now that I've been using it for a little bit, I have some feelings about stuff that when I change it, you will not notice, but I'll notice. So I'll do that eventually. Okay, let's reconsult the notes. Started life is green. Blah, 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 blah. It's a 70 vibes in a good way. Yeah. Yeah. The purple and orange, the purple, orange, and black, like, shadowing looks, I do think it works. And it manages to look good when you crunch the fuck out of it with this filter we're using. So that became Blockhead's cameo. That's when I got Rosie to draw that monkey. And it ended up looking pretty good. And now that I had the logo, okay, now we get to go to the station ID. Now we get to go to the fucking station ID. So here's the station ID. So now that we had a TV station and we had a logo and the logo was in the corner and it looked pretty good, but we needed to further sell the fiction here. We hadn't completed the fiction yet. Because part of having a TV station is you have bumpers and you have TV schedules, and if it's a public television station, that means it's like directly like taxpayer funded and like supported by the city and that kind of stuff. So if you're in America, there's PBS, which by the way, I suppose I should take a moment now to mention this. But the current American legislation is doing their best to dismantle and destroy public stuff like PBS, stuff that is, you know, funded by taxpayer dollars and things like that, like for taxpayers, et cetera, et cetera. PBS, shit like Sesame Street is under threat from our current administration. And if you live in the United States, look into, you know, your local affiliates and like see if they need canvassers or something like that, because we are in a position in the United States right now where public services like this need that support from people. So there's that. Anyway, not to get all political, but I was actually considering being a PBS canvasser because I need a fucking job and there's a listing for that. But oh god, going door to door. So yeah, having the TV logo in the corner is great and all, but we needed proper branding for the station. The station has schedules and its own screens and stuff like that. And of course, you know, this gives me an opportunity to play the commercial that we eventually did. And it functioned as a BRB screen because every stream, this is just good practice. Any stream project I do, I need to have a screen I can cut to that doesn't have me on it and is just like the boo-boo keys, right? Where I can just put this on screen, chat won't get too bored, but also it gives me time to like go to the bathroom and sort stuff out, get organized, that kind of thing, right? So on this screen, like there's no Discord audio or anything, so all I have to do is mute myself manually, and I can just like talk with Chili during the live stream. We did that a lot. Chili and I had like a lot of conversations when this was up during that stream, actually. Like, I'm surprised how much we used it. But very good. And the comedy of cutting to this is also very good. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about how we made it. So, I knew I wanted a BRB screen, and the primary inspiration, the primary aesthetic inspiration was going to be the Weather Channel. Classic, the Weather Channel. Hey, speaking of public services, anyway, I think the Weather Channel is a public, I think it's like a federal thing or whatever. Anyway, it might be. So I knew I wanted like Weather Channel music, that lo-fi, smooth pop jazz, low, like crunched up fidelity. So I found a fucking great fan website. It's called twcclassics.com. It's credited in the credits. This is the Weather Channel Classics, and it is a fan-run website that documents and like preserves music and bumpers used by the Weather Channel over decades and decades. So there's like so much there to pull from. Not that I have rights to use this music necessarily, but I did some testing, and I uploaded a full loop of this screen to YouTube several months before I intended to go live, just to make sure none of this would get muted, and it didn't. What I did was I grabbed 4 tracks, which I'll credit in a second. I grabbed 4 tracks off of TWC Classics, and I applied a low-pass filter over them so that they had an equal, like, muted kind of sound. Which we'll bump it up a little bit. So that, like, muffled, muted sound. The clarity of the music is actually a lot better in the source files, but I wanted them to be of a consistent quality because I grabbed them from different, eras a little bit. And also just like the file quality is going to be different, just randomly anyway. And I kind of really managed to land perfectly on that like doctor waiting room kind of thing of like what the fuck is this music? Who listens to this music? This is music that only plays incidentally. Hardly anyone is ever going to listen to this music on purpose. It's like that kind of stuff. And it's got a nice vibe and it sounds good. So the 4 tracks we're using, I will credit now, is Walk On by C.F. Jones, Running on Empty by David Reinstein, Misty Waters by Vicara, and Vicara by Vicara. Those are the 4 tracks we're using. I only really needed 4. I didn't need the loop to be too long, and I just wanted to have enough music that there was a decent variety, so it wasn't just the same song playing. I wanted it to have like some different rhythms and moods, kind of, while all still being within the same like circle of vibe that I wanted. It ended up working really well. Although the transitions between tracks could be way smoother. It hard cuts. I should have crossfaded them because I stitched them together as one long audio file, so I could have done that, and I just like didn't manage it. Let's see. So the background here, like background, this background you see here, this is made of 2 elements in OBS. One of them is just the color blue. And then the other one is Perlin Noise. This is a noise shader that is just in OBS. I think this is from user-defined shaders, this Perlin Noise specifically. Yes, it is. This is from the user-defined shaders plugin. So this is just Perlin Noise. It's some clouds and I have it set to, the shader is set to scroll horizontally. So in theory, I don't think this repeats ever. I don't think you should ever see it like loop, unless I restart OBS, in which case it absolutely loops. So I got this set up. This looks like a sky with light clouds scrolling past. It's perfect. It looks like the stark blue background you would see in like a 2000s infomercial for like the fucking Snuggie or some shit, right? That like, you know, that like 00FF00 type blue. In fact, I think that's like literally what it is. No, sorry, it's 0000F9. It's red, green, blue. Not red, blue, green, excuse me. Then we slap the logo on it. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Then we get, this programming was made possible by viewers like you. Americans watching PBS will know that turn of phrase. Will know that phrase very well. They watched a lot of TV. And then I have two other texts here. One is just a BRB text, and the other one's the station schedule. So, I really like how this all works. I think the background works really well because it looks like it could be a Weather Channel thing. It looks like it could be a generic infomercial thing. And it looks like it could be a background element in like an early CGI, like Discovery, like children's VHS tape or something, right? Something I would have been shown in school. Like, it has that vibe, and I really like it. And then the text is kind of funny. Like, what fucking font is this? Do I have the rights to use this font? Probably not, but what font is this? This is Myanmar Text Bold, apparently. Are they both Myanmar Text Bold? Yes, they are. So this text I made look a little bit nicer, quote unquote, by doing an uneven transformation on it. So the text is actually really squished, but that combined with how the filters interact with it and how I think am I using an outline shader for one of these? Let me check, because the schedule here looks like it does, but I don't. Okay, no, it does have a black outline. Okay. It's hard to tell if that was the filter doing it or not. But yeah, I think it ended up looking pretty cool. I like just how this text looks when it's like squished and stretched a little bit. I think it works really well. It's got that nice little bit of like jank, like whatever hardware is controlling this station's bumpers is like an ancient video mixer or something, right? Like it's an ancient video mixer that they should have replaced like 20 years ago, but they're still using it because they're underfunded. Because it's a random public TV station in some random hypothetical like American city. Okay. I need to BRB. I gotta fucking go to the damn bathroom. I gotta pee. I'll leave Betsy there with you, and I'll play the music again. There we go. All right. Be right back. I gotta take a bathroom break, and we are more than halfway. There's only a little bit left to do, so it shouldn't be too much longer. So, I'll be right back in 4 minutes. Okay, that was a lot shorter than 4 minutes. But you know how it is. It would have been longer, but it would have been a longer BRB if Mom's geriatric old dog almost like decided he wanted to be in my office, and I would have had to have wait for him to leave. Because if I close the door on him, he's gonna start freaking out. Anyway, yeah, we're almost done. Let's get situated, and yeah, we only have like 2 major things left to talk about. Okay, so the BHPA TV mug is the next thing I have here to talk about. So let's look at the ad. Let's just play the ad. Let's just play the ad. So the ad has no music. I am just using the music from this scene for this. But here it is. I'll just play it back in full for you real quick.
Hi, are you looking for product? Are you looking for
I have
something
the ad
new
set to
you
make
would like?
the music
Maybe
quieter.
You would like a new sentimental object, which
It
you
attenuates the
will
music
attach
volume when I'm
emotional value. Now, from BHPA TV mug, and it can be yours for price. Here, I'll throw this in for free.
I
It's
literally didn't know how much
the
it would
link.
cost, by the
Here
way.
is the link. Please comment down below or to the side.
Also, the price varies by region.
Thank you, Bunny Bunsen, for the merchandise. You have 50 seconds to comply.
Post it, chat.
Great. Well, we also have other product. We have this, that, another thing. And let's not forget, and that's everything we have. Buy one
I
for
put the logo
yourself
on basically
today
everything.
with the link. Here is the link. Good. Remember, the link.
So yeah, the music in the background gets quieter and louder because I have it set to duck whenever that video is playing audio, which means it works pretty well. It works pretty well. It makes it feel like the audio is part of the commercial, which was the goal. My own voice doesn't interact with it like that though, because I don't have that set up. But I don't use that feature too much, the ducking, because I think it's like it can be a little fucking annoying to deal with sometimes. So yeah, that's the fucking mug ad. Let's fucking so I already intended, I think, like, regardless of whether or not it's real, you can get it. That's a real mug you can get. It's on Redbubble. It might depend on what country you're in. It might be unavailable in some regions. I don't fucking know. But it's real. It's real. It is fucking real. Redbubble is telling me it sells for about 19 USD. I don't know how accurate that is. Well, I'm not signed in, so yeah, it's selling it for like $15 right now. That looks like that's legit. I'm gonna be real, chat. I probably don't make much money, if at all, from selling this stuff. So if your objective is only to support me financially, don't worry about buying any of that shit. But if you would like to have that, if you want, let me find the image. I make money off of it. It's just that I don't know what the overhead is, so like, don't worry about it. Genuinely, I don't know what the split is, so don't worry about it. It's Redbubble. Anyone can upload anything to Redbubble, but like, don't worry too much about it. If you want to buy something from there, do it because you want it. Is what I'm saying. I bought 2 mugs and 2 magnets myself. Do I have the acrylic block anywhere? Is it in this image? No, it's not. There's an image of an acrylic block with the logo in it in that video, and I don't know where I'd put that image. I think the acrylic block is funny. That's that. So the ad is ad-libbed. I was making that up as I went along. I know I was like, buy my mug, and then I said something akin to, hey, please don't. That's not what I meant. Please buy my mug. I guess. I don't know. If you want. Hold on. I gotta reorient myself in my notes. Yeah, so the Redbubble required me to have a total of 5 products to sell. So that's why there's other designs on there other than the logo. So you can buy the logo on like mostly anything. And there's 4 other designs that like I guess you can get if you want it. Getting anything with the beans on it is probably a bad idea though, because that image is really small. I cannot imagine any of that will look good. Redbubble's confusing to navigate. You gotta hit explore designs on my store, and then you can click on the logo, and then you can see everything that it is. There you go. If you want the HPA TV shower curtains, you can buy those. They're really expensive, but you could. I would recommend the magnets. The magnets and the stickers of the logo are really good. I'd recommend that. It works well in that format. So there you go. That's my opinion on that. And the mug's good. It's a standard mug. It washes in the dishwasher. It survives. It's good. Let me see. All right. So the commercial was made after the station ID, and I made it with the intent that it would play over top of the station ID. So it used the music, and it's supposed to have the same blue color in the background, but because of the purlin noise, that ends up not really being the case. So it isn't really super good. Number 6. No, that's Betsy's seat. There it is. Here's the commercial. Scum. So there's one part in that commercial that's made in Blender, and it's this part. Could you tell? Because it's using the mug that only has the one side. The real mug has 2 sides, but mug. I just knew I wanted an animation of some kind. The rest of it, of course, is just image slideshow stuff. I made that video in DaVinci Resolve. It's not too crazy. Okay, me saying the link in the description and then it's a Twitch stream and there is no link and there is no description, that wasn't entirely intentional, because I think I did intend to release that commercial as its own standalone YouTube video, which I still haven't done, and I don't know if I will, honestly. But yeah, it also has all the filters over it because it's part of the Station ID scene, which has filters over it already, that kind of thing. Let's see. And I like the idea of doing a merch. Merch is like something I've always wanted to do. I am not big enough. I don't have enough audience and pull to do like real merch. I don't have that. I don't have that. I just don't. That's fine. But I still wanted to have something. And this was kind of like that. I asked around a little bit. The same folks who helped me tweak the logo's design, I had asked like, hey, who knows X, Y, or Z about like getting shirts printed or this or that? And folks were like, as far as like shit you can just upload whatever you want to, Redbubble's probably just like your best bet, generally. And it seems like it is today. Mug. And I was very happy with how chat responded to the commercial. It's funny because I have that bit that says, please enter, like, please type thank you Bunny Bunsig for the merchandise, which I'm not sure if anyone in chat like literally did that. I know I did during the stream. I posted it, but people posted stuff akin to that, but they didn't post literally that. Like, I had it in quotes because the intention is it's supposed to be like literally this sentence, but that's just not how it works. So it's fine. But regardless, people really liked it, and I really appreciate that people liked it. Y'all really are into product. Hopefully next time I'll have an even fancier product for you. Although I'm not gonna make it actually, it is really easy uploading stuff to Redbubble, so I could just add whatever I want to that whenever, honestly. It costs me nothing to add things to that store because it's all made to order. Which is one of the reasons why it's like the quality is probably not like great, super great or anything, but you know. Okay, there's only one more thing left to talk about as far as the creation process is concerned. Oh my god, there's only one thing left to talk about. Hey, yo. That wasn't on purpose. Was that on That wasn't on purpose. That was random, right? Yeah, oh my god, what the fuck? Insider trading, dude.
You
what
believe
the
in
hell?
God? I am God.
Wait, and then the sub note popped up. What? Huh? Why did it do what? But also your sub popped up. Oh, because it was a community. What? I don't know why that just happened the way it did. That's very strange. Well, anyway. Yeah, random subs prioritizes, like, active viewers. And I guess your other account is one of those, so. And it was just here, so. Your bang of being super really here one guess. That's, yeah. Well, I appreciate any support regardless. So, I guess we'll just, like, pop back over here. So the text on this screen, I didn't talk about this. So, as part of being a fake TV channel, I needed a schedule for the screen. So literally what I did was, originally this said Backyard Brawl was at 5 p.m. because that was originally when the stream was supposed to be up on July 4th. But then I adjusted all the times later when the stream got delayed to the date it did get to, and then when I realized what time we would start, I quickly changed all the times to align correctly. But in the process, I apparently gave the Backyard Brawl too much of a time slot. Like, Backyard Brawl has way too much of a time slot. It has 3 hours, which we did not go for 3 hours, which is unfortunate because part of the joke of the way the stream ended was that we were running over time, and we just hard cut to the end of the Guy Hour. So that wasn't my intent when I wrote this schedule originally, though. I just wanted to write some filler text to have in a schedule. So I just thought of like, what's like something, a name of a thing I can think of, the name of another thing I can make up, whatever. And the Guy Hour. I feel like the Guy Hour, in my mind, the phrase like the Guy Hour as like a title, it just makes sense. It makes sense exactly what that means. It's an inane show where some men talk about their masculinity in like arbitrary signifier-y kind of ways. And I didn't really have anything in mind for it. But when I showed this screen to, because when I made this station ID screen with the schedule on it and the music and the background, I was, and the logo, I was like so proud of it that I was showing it to a bunch of friends. And in the process of showing that to a bunch of my friends, showing this exact screen you're looking at to people, a common response was, "What the fuck is the Guy Hour?" Like, a bunch of people reacted that way. And I realized, oh, what is the Guy Hour? And it's also the show that's on next. So, oh, hey, I know what I'm going to do for the end of the stream now. I'm just going to, like, record an entire segment of the Guy Hour show, and we're just going to play that behind the credits. And as another part of it, the moment I had the idea to make the Guy Hour like a reality, I stopped talking about it with anyone because I had been sharing so much of my creative process with a lot of my friends over the months it took me to make all this stuff. And I was like, okay, everything for the stream is done now. Everything's rendered. I've got everything in OBS. I've programmed everything. And now I'm just waiting for July 4th to roll around. I've got like 1 or 2 months, because I finished this months in advance. I've got like 1 or 2 months to go. And we still got to make this one little extra thing. But because I've been showing everyone everything, all of my friends, who are the people who I can kind of guarantee will show up to watch the stream, that means that a lot of stuff, except for the brawlers themselves, are not going to be surprises for them anymore. And I wanted like a little special something. And I did a similar thing in the Hell stream with the like mech battle ending. That was something I held relatively close to my chest. I think I only mentioned it to a couple people that I was working on something like that. And this is a similar case where I decided, wouldn't it be so fucking funny if like Rosie and whomever were like, the Guy Hour, that sounds fucking weird. What the fuck is that? And without telling them, I just go and make it. So when they watch the stream, all of a sudden the Guy Hour happens. And it's real. It's not just a thing I said, it's real. And the payoff of it being real, I really like that. Really real. I really real like that. And so I just fucking, I was caught by a strange mood, and I was like, all right, well, we're just gonna make the Guy Hour. And here's the Guy Hour.
What I'm saying is, he's like, just not respecting the sanctity
this
of the
bit
Guy code. Like, I just think that's
like 5 minutes
fundamental
long.
understanding that we all have of each other.
It really is. Like,
yeah.
I am not going to play the Guy Hour in its entirety. In fact, I'm going to add VLC to this scene really quick so we can play music while we're here. Give me a second. Bit, you took it seriously? Oh, it's very serious. Oh, it's very serious. There we go. So this screen here, which is also a good excuse just to play the credits for a bit while I talk, is more proud of this bit than anything else, probably. Let me see here. So the Guy Hour, this is, I'll hide the credits so you can like look at the render. So I was like, okay, what the fuck is the Guy Hour? Well, it's a public access show. It's probably, oh, duh, it's a Joe Rogan show. It's a Joe Rogan type show, but less, but like smoothed out. Like, it's not like offensive or anything, but it has like the aesthetics of being right-leaning politically, well, without actually being that at all. Right? Yeah, it was also a good pace changer. Having it be a radical pace changer is also part of the comedy. Hard cutting from like a frantic like fighting tournament to just like 3 guys talking about some inane homoerotic bullshit that doesn't matter and is fucking fake as fuck and isn't real is really funny to me. And fucking ground news over here, ground level, I don't know what the fuck, that's supposed to be like a local news thing, and then the evening sign off is implying that this TV station shuts down at midnight every day, like TV stations used to, especially lower budget ones. That's the bit.
He's like, just not respecting the,
oh god, it started playing again.
Sanctity of the Guy code.
Shut up, Grave. The very platonic things men do, yes. So let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. So the joke is we're cutting into the final 5 minutes of the Guy Hour, which is an hour long, I presume. And we're just catching the tail end where they take one last call and then they kind of just blah, blah, blah. Although Grave talks as if he's taking multiple calls, but he only takes one and says, okay, we're done. And the call wasn't very long either, but whatever. I improvised all of the dialogue in this. I didn't write any of it. Let me see if I have anything in my notes about this specifically. The stuff I've already explained. It was going to be where the credits happened. Yeah, the fucking cigarette, the cigar is fucking god. Okay, I'm catching up to my notes. Yeah, so I knew it would be a show that took like live callers, like, you know, like a radio show or other kind of like lower budget local broadcast stuff like that. So the first character, so okay, I'm gonna hide the credits because we're just gonna look at this background for a bit. So there are 3 characters in this scene. There's Grave on the left, Dave on the right, and I think his name is Michael on the phone. Grave is the pitched down voice you hear during this.
Like, I just think
Like he's the pitched down voice, and then Dave is the like, he's like the me, but talking a little like in the back of my throat nasally. That's Dave on the right. Dave has a BHPA TV mug, by the way, because he works for the station, so of course he does. Everyone who works for the station has a mug. It comes free. Now, I can actually show you what these guys look like. Here is Millennial Man smiling. This is Millennial Man smiling. Here he is. It's Dave. This is Dave. And here is Grave. A completely different character. Here's Grave. Part of the joke is that they're kind of just the same guy. I mean, obviously, right? Where it's just 2 like uninteresting men who are like functionally identical but have arbitrary aesthetic differences. And one of them's name is a play on the other's name, but he's gray. Grave is Dave, but he's gray. That's why his name is Grave. That's the bit. I don't know why. I don't know why that's the bit, but that's the bit. Anywho. So yeah, I recorded Grave first. He's the main guy who's talking. And then Dave is just sort of like the yes man. He's the term I hear people use, which is really funny, is Dave is the podcast idiot. Which is to say, he's the guy who's there. 100 bits! Wait, the alert's not on the screen. There it is! Well, thank you, Mac, for the 100 bits. I don't have the alert box set up on any of these fucking screens. Oops.
And what I'm saying is, he's like, just not respecting the
Yeah, he's just the guy who... Grave will just say some shit, and Dave's whole job is to go, oh, yeah, I understand, absolutely. Oh, I get it, yeah. Or like, oh my god, I had no idea, wow, that's crazy, like that kind of stuff. He's the guy who's there just so there's someone to talk to. He doesn't understand a thing, chat. I think Dave does actually deliver an opinion on Michael's call, and the reason he does... Okay, yeah. So I need to talk about how I recorded this. So I recorded 3 times. And I recorded Grave first. I just recorded all of his dialogue before and after the call. I recorded that all in one take, all improvised. And then after that, even after I recorded Grave's reaction to the caller, I still hadn't recorded the call yet. I didn't actually know what the call was about. So I had to then retroactively make up what the call was. So playing the character Michael, who has a high pass filter to sound like he's over a phone, by the way. Which, by the way, when Michael's talking, a spotlight goes on in the background to illuminate a rotary phone, which is normally hidden by the credits, but you can see it back there. Whenever Michael's talking, the phone's up. So during the call, there's a little spotlight on it. So then I recorded Michael, and then I recorded Dave, And Dave is easy. He's the podcast idiot. He's just agreeing to stuff. So all I really had to do was whenever there was gaps in talking, I would just insert Dave like agreeing, like just like verbally actively listening and agreeing, or just like going yeah, wow, oh, that kind of stuff. And then I edited it all together, and while doing that, when I recorded the two hosts, I made sure to record a bunch of just random dialogue for them listening to the call to the caller. So Grave and Dave are both doing active listening noises of oh yeah, and then I just like peppered those across Michael's phone call. And yeah, if you're like, hey, what are they talking about? What's any of that about? I don't know. I just wanted to do something that's like weirdly like homoerotic, but also like dealing with like insecurities regarding homoeroticism, while also like blindly misunderstanding or missing the fact that these characters' ideal of masculinity is in and of itself homoerotic. Joke of a homoerotic man who's straight. You know the joke. That's the whole bit. And also they talk about their balls, because what else is a show about men gonna be about other than them just talking about their balls all day? They mostly talk about their balls. So I had to make a set. I didn't want to spend too much time on it, because it was only going to be visible very briefly, and I wanted it to be kind of like dark and like difficult to see like what's going on anyway, because that makes it easier. So instead we just have like a simple cube for the table, or it's not a cube, but I stretched it. Some nameplates so you know who these men are, and I built them little microphones. You can see they have little microphones in front of them. The mugs here. There's the phone. There's text in the background that glows, and then there's the number one dad dog bowl. So that is so I knew I wanted one of them to be smoking a cigar, because that's a very like Joe Rogan man thing, like man brand type thing to do, is to be smoking a cigar. It is a go-to arbitrary indicator for masculine rituals, and it also gave me something to put on the table that wasn't just microphones and nameplates and stuff. However, I just kind of made it way too big. The cigar is way too fat, and the ashtray is huge in order to be able to like hold the cigar. And also, the cigar is backwards. The part of the cigar that's lit should be the part that's in the ashtray if you're gonna put it down like that. Right? So that's already like a problem. It's on the wrong side of the ashtray. But I did make sure to have the number one dad ashtray as opposed to the number one dad like coffee mug that like is the cliche. Because one, that's funny. Giving the idea that a child would give their dad an ashtray that says number one dad on it is insane to me. So naturally I went with that. And then because I made it, yeah, also there is the potential joke text about these people are so fixated on performing masculinity that they don't actually understand the literal things they're doing as part of that ritual, right? Like this guy doesn't actually smoke cigars. He just smokes cigars because it is a signifier of his masculinity. And the ashtray looks like a dog bowl. So now, instead of it being an ashtray that says number one dad, it's a fucking dog bowl. A dog food bowl that says number one dad on it, which is also really funny. And it just works. It just fucking works in the end. Dave's chill. He owns product. Dave does own product. That is true. Dave totally fucking owns product. And that's it. The text that's behind them
And what I'm saying,
That's Mario 64 font, I think. So there's that. And it's got some, you know, user-defined shaders on it. And that's everything about the making of the stream. The only stuff that's not in here is like the brawlers themselves, because I didn't make any of them. That was you guys. And I wrote up a document describing what the Backyard Brawl was, and I attempted to make it a little bit better than the Hellstream one. I'm not sure if I did. And I added in some extra stuff, like there was a consent. For those of you who didn't submit stuff, right? There was a little consent checkbox in the submission form that asked you if it's okay if I reuse your submission as like a background character in a future stream or something. Yeah. Oh, Judge Bed was my favorite. I would be so for real. He lost like so fucking hard, but that was totally my favorite brawler. Fucking like I opened that and I was like literally I opened that one like a few weeks before or a few days I guess before we actually did the stream, and I was like, oh, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. Everyone put their whole ass into this in a good way, and we're gonna be okay. And it worked out really well. I'm too busy work. I recommend the VOD is thankfully relatively short for a live stream. It's like 2.5 hours. You could probably skip over some of the bumpers when nothing's happening to PH. Yeah, it's a magician casting spells. That's fucking... I mean, I guess we'll pop back to the...
And what I'm saying is...
the goddamn credits. Here's the credits. So... also the best... Actually, funny thing you say that, Chili. I have some other stuff here in my notes. For one, I have a thing about, like, the delays, right? Obviously, the stream was supposed to happen on July 4th, and it ended up happening, like, mid-October. And I've gone over the delay on stream and in Discord, like, publicly before, several times. So I don't have really anything to say about it, other than it was a bad time. I had like a solid month of I'm having a bad time and everything sucks. Like immediately, that started right before the Backyard Brawl was happening. Like right as the Backyard Brawl was starting to happen, and there was nothing I could have done about that. And then that led to a chain reaction of like struggling to feel capable, not to be capable, but to feel capable, and that's a whole thing. But eventually it happened, and I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. I'm very happy we got to do it. I'm happy we did it within the year. Oh my god. It worked out. Like all of my worries about anything went away the instant I went live. The moment I went live, I was like, no, we're fine. Everything's fine. This is perfect. We did it. I do have a note in here, and this is like a vague thing, and I don't mean anything by it. There was a few moments. Now, Chili, performing with somebody else on a live stream takes some chemistry, and it takes some skill too. And there was a few parts where sometimes Chili doesn't yes and properly while we're doing improv. It's not all the time, but it happens sometimes. And I'm like, Now, it'll happen a lot in relation to, like details associated with her and, like with NyQuil and stuff. That I understand. And I don't have any specific examples, but that's just like a general, like, we did some good improv there. We can still be better. We can fucking train. We can go in the hyperbolic time chamber, and we can, like, we can turn into an Abbott and Costello of the modern age, I think. We just have to, like, work on it. It's because you're stupid. Well, you're... Anyway. Speaking of awkward silences, yeah, I just have a bunch of kind of closing thoughts about the actual performing of the stream itself. Also, hold on. Open it up here. So it was a great time. I had a good time. I think 2.5 hours is like a perfect length. If it ran over 3 hours, that would have been way too long, honestly. So I think it's a really good thing that matches went faster than I expected, because 3 hours or longer is too long for a stream like this. See, also, whenever I switch to this, that doesn't cut my mic. There's a few jokes and a few clips. There's that one clip of like Betsy going to kiss her wife, where we say yes and it sounds like we've been cut off because we cut to commercial. Our mic wasn't muted when we did that. That was just part of our performance. Is we tried our best to simulate being cut off mid-sentence or mid-word, and people really liked that. So that went over well. I appreciate stuff like that working out. I'm happy with the station ID, as I've said. The breathing room it gave, and like being able to play the commercial to like increase the effectiveness of the BRB itself was very good. Like being able to say like, oh, I need this BRB to last a little bit longer, I'm just gonna play the commercial, and that's gonna like give the audience something to look at and interact with for a second while we like center ourselves and prepare for the next bit and like, you know, drink water and stuff. Also, yeah, so I also have some notes in here about stuff I want to do better in the future. And one of them is something you guys don't see, but I had a lot. Also, yeah, the TV logo does look really good against a black background because of like the negative space it creates. I agree, Matt. I agree. I've also made this observation before. It's great. I'm very pleased with that logo. We're gonna be using it like a lot. So there's a couple things in hindsight that I should have done differently. I should have made it so I could customize brawlers while I'm here. Why is it black? That's weird. Let's not look at that too closely. But while I was on the station ID, the BRB screen, I couldn't customize the brawlers. I couldn't move them onto the stage properly unless I was in studio mode, and I didn't want to use studio mode because I already had so much stuff to juggle that would have made me like freeze up if I did that. So I should have added a quick functionality to make that work, but I didn't, which is why even after cutting away from commercial or BRB, I still needed to take time to stop doing anything and change the images and type in the names again. That's an oversight in my setup. Additionally, we still don't have a visualizer for the tournament bracket itself. That's a big missing thing. We only had that for the first of the tournaments, first of the 3, like years ago. And that was such a scuffed setup, but it did technically work. And maybe I should return to that, honestly. But I think the real solution, which I discovered, I'm not fucking kidding, like 3 hours before we went live, I realized the actual solution to my fucking like live management problems. I can just ask one of my friends to manage the bracket for me in the Google Doc. I don't have to do it myself. I can have someone who's not on stream do it. I didn't really realize that was an option. I could have just like asked Rosie to do it, because Rosie wasn't hosting, but she was like around. But I didn't have time to teach Rosie. I have to invent a system that 2 people can use in order for that setup to work. I need like a system with language and communication that people understand, and I could not do that in 3 hours before we went live, so I didn't. That would have introduced more problems than it would have solved. But the stream was still the perfect length, I feel like. So having that downtime was fine, and I'm going to notice that downtime a lot more than any of you guys are. So it's whatever. But if I ever want to make these tournaments bigger, like if I were to take on a full roster of like 24 brawlers, definitely I would have someone else manage the bracket. And if someone's managing the bracket, that could introduce a good avenue for visualizing the bracket again, which is a problem I have yet to solve. Because brackets are dynamic based on how many people are participating, and it's an open application where I take literally every brawler I get, I use. I do have a stipulation that says if we get too much, I might not use yours, just in case. I have that written down. But so far, like, we've used every single submission. No one has ever gotten cut yet. It'll happen one day probably, but not yet. Let me see. And another big thing that was missing from this stream, that was also missing from the Hell stream, is a way to reveal brawlers. So a big thing about these tournaments, and a thing that I think is important to the rhythm, at least of the first like third of these tournaments, is having the brawlers be revealed for the very first time to the audience. And I did this in the first tournament where I would set all of the characters into like silhouettes, and then I would like reveal who they are. I would unveil the silhouette and who's that Pokemon, there's your brawler. And I didn't have anything like that for the Hell stream, and I didn't have anything like that for this stream either. And I think that's a big oversight, because especially with the setup we were doing here, where we were on the host cam and then I would cut over to the ring, is I would sometimes introduce a fighter, their name and who they are, before you, the audience, had even seen them. And I think that represents a problem in structure, where I didn't have like a function in my setup to reveal characters. You spent time to talk about the content? Yeah. I think like a combination of things before the fight, yeah. There's like a combination of things for that. For one, like after the first round of fights, when we've already known people, we've already been introduced to them, we have a little bit less to say. And I think it could be a consequence of, one, I'm anxious as fuck and this stream is several months overdue, so my performance is going to be a little bit weird sometimes. But there's also like the new mechanics, the health bars and stuff kind of create more fight narrative that I would have created previously, where I would have had to have narrated that. But that's for during the fight, not before the fight. There was also, yeah, a lot of that's just going to be how things are performed differently. But I agree, Mac, and one of the things I want to do is a direct solution to that. Because having a, ooh, here's the reveal of your fighter, can also include like a stat sheet, a bio, things like that can be displayed on screen as like an interface, as like a heads-up display, some graphic design. And so as part of the submission form, viewers were prompted to write a description of their character, and that's what Chili and I were going off of. I gave Chili a link to the document that had all the descriptions in it, and because I was the one managing the stream, I was mostly relying on Chili to pull from that information for commentary. Chili was like my color commentator for that whole stream, essentially, and she did a good job. Like, I knew that was going to be a blind spot for me, and I wasn't going to be able to manage that very well, and Chili picked up the game for me for sure. But yeah, I think not talking a lot about the brawlers and who they are, I'm not sure if I agree necessarily that the performances were severely different, but definitely there's more room for using that. And next time, I think I'm going to have, the next time we do one of these, and we're absolutely doing a fourth tournament, we're doing a fourth one, that's no doubt. We are going to probably ask people to answer specific questions, and then maybe some open-ended stuff, and then from there create like bios. Okay. Honestly, my dream is to have stats and have those stats matter mechanically, and have it be more abstracted from just people voting on who they want to win. And kind of like Ship of Theseus turning this into like Germa Rumble or some shit, right? One day I would love it to be like that, but I don't know how we get to that point. We're just gonna let this become what it needs to be, honestly. Whatever feels like an improvement to make will be an improvement that gets made, and then it'll look different over time. Let me see, is there any other notes left? Yeah, I just mentioned the, like, revealing new brawlers is important. We didn't really do that very well. I think that's, like, the big thing. Let's see. Yeah, I'm really happy how this turned out. We got some great fucking clips from it. Shouts to Rosie, who made most of the clips that I'm aware of. And yeah, I like the feeling I had sitting on the end screen while the credits were rolling. My mic was off. Chili's mic was cut off as well, but we were still talking to each other. Taking a big fat fucking hit off my weed vape. I don't know if I've ever felt so like fulfilled before. And being able to do this, not just being able to do this, but having it be something that like people really care about, right? Like that people enjoy and are invested in, and having it be something that like even myself, not as the host, but like as an audience member, like really cares about and enjoys. And like this was one of the first streams I've ever done that I feel like my takeaway from it was genuinely like, this is exactly the kind of stream I would watch. This is the exact kind of stream I would watch. This is the exact type of stream that I would like save time to watch if it was someone else doing it. And after doing this for years and having something that I can very definitively say is like meeting my own standards for the standards I apply to other people's art, and for the first time feeling like I'm meeting my own standards is like crazy. And just seeing how much people loved it and how like folks were interacting with bits even in ways I didn't really like anticipate them doing. Like, this is fucking good, man. Like, we're gonna be okay. Like, I don't know, man. It's I'm happy. I'm happy things turned out the way they did, and I hope I get to do this again. I'm determined to do this again. I don't know what the next one's gonna look like, and I'll be honest, chat. I want to do something else first. I want to do literally anything else first before I do another tournament. But we'll see what that ends up being. I have a couple ideas for what that's going to be already. I've already got some stuff I'm like working on concept art for. Literally, like, I'm not kidding. As the credits were rolling, and Julie can attest to this, I was already like talking about next time. I was already talking about the next time and the next time and the next time. And yeah, I thank you all so much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for still being here even after like I promised so much and wasn't able to deliver for months. Like, having an audience that, like, yeah, a fair amount of this audience is people I know personally. I could say like a half of it probably is, but even just having like strangers on the internet who believe in what I'm doing and the things I'm making with my friends enough to want to even participate themselves. I couldn't ask for anything else. I couldn't ask for anything else. So, here's the next one, chat. Let's look forward to the future, huh? Because we're gonna be doing more streams. I know it's hard for me to be consistent with schedules and frequently stream stuff, but we're doing more. We're gonna top ourselves. We're gonna do better again, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's next. I'm just excited as I hope some of you are. And okay. Well, let's let's play us out. Let's play us out. Hold on. Where's that one track? There it is. Play us out. Play us out the old-fashioned way. Play us out the old-fashioned way. Come on. There we go. Get the old end credits music rolling. Settle in. That's all I got to talk about. Said my piece, said my thanks. And yeah, about it. Hell yeah, man. I like genuinely don't know what the next tournament's gonna look like. I haven't actually decided on anything about that. What do you think? Oh, it'll happen. It'll happen. And if I had any ideas, I wouldn't talk about it now, obviously. Thank you, Wolvine. I'm happy literally anybody likes anything. If I only had one chatter, I'd still be plenty happy. But having as many as I do, goddamn. Don't know if it gets happier than this. I considered doing a similar behind the scenes for the other two tournaments, just as like a bonus. Maybe I'll do something like that. Like I could show off the Hellstream like file. I could show off the project file probably at some point, but I'm not too worried about that. Oh well. That's the stream. Thank you all for watching. And of course, don't forget. Remember, chat. You remember? You remember?
Remember, winners don't do drugs.